time to say farewell to Camelback Ranch. The White Sox playing their final game of Cactus League play 2018. The opponent today is the Brewers as the Sox will head to Charlotte after the game for a final exhibition against the AAA team. Thanks for joining us once again. Jason Benetti, Steve Stone along with you, and it is hard to believe that opening day is just around the corner, just a couple of days away. The big news from spring training is the 5th starter spot, and it's gone to Carson Fulmer.
It was a battle, and Carson Fulmer had to show that he really belonged. Now, he showed it last year, but carrying it forward, you never really know. This spring, the last time out especially, he threw it very well. He commanded both sides of the plate. He got the breaking ball over. He was in command. Didn't give up anything. The 3 walks that he gave up, well, perhaps he wasn't that happy with that, but overall, they were impressed enough with his performance to make him number 5. He's worked for it, he deserves it, and that's what the starters look like. James Shields at the top with Giolito 2, then Lopez, and then Gonzalez, and the aforementioned Carson Fulmer. It's a good rotation. It's going to be a really entertaining season, and Big James is going to start it off, and Giolito is going to go too, so I'm looking forward to the start of the season.
Who's the 5th starter was the question for most of spring training, and the other question that Ricky Renteria's fielded a lot is, who's your closer?
What's the back end of the bullpen going to be when you don't have the big guy at the back who closes everything down? And the bullpen is going to be pretty simple. The guys at front, well, there's a lot of those. But the guys at the back end, Nate Jones having a great spring. Soria, a guy who's done it before. Manaea, who last year burst on the scene. They thrust the closer role upon him, and he responded. And so don't look at the numbers in spring training. They mean nothing. But an experienced back end of the bullpen is very good. The Sox have that. The best news, Nate Jones is entirely healthy. When he is, he's overwhelming. We've seen it this spring.
Well, there's a tie for the best news then, because I thought the best news was the openers coming on Thursday.
And that is the best news. And the fact that we're going to be in Kansas City for very close to, 2 years? That doesn't diminish the fact that we're excited, heading for baseball, and I, for one, can't wait for it to start.
So there's 2 pieces of best news, and there will be like 4 ceremonial first pitches. So it's definitely baseball season. I hope you can join us for all of it. The Sox will take on the Brewers today from Camelback Ranch as we have first pitch just around the corner. Game of spring training 2018 before we get going with the championship season. Jason Benetti, Steve Stone, our entire crew. And today, the red-hot Brewers are the opponent. 19 wins, 9 losses, and just 2 spring training ties this year, which can be redeemed for nothing once the season starts. Milwaukee's lineup goes like this for Craig Counsell. VR at the top, Eric Thames, then Santana, G-Man Choi, Jesus Aguilar still in play for one of the spots on the bench. Perez, Bandy, Orlando Arcia as the shortstop, and then Kyle Wren, the center fielder.
Let's take a look at the defense and how Ricky Renteria is going to put them out there on this Palm Sunday. It's Booker, Engel, and Garcia left to right. Then Sanchez, Saladino, Moncada, and Abreu. Zavala behind the plate, and Chris Volstead on the hill. So a lineup, they're out there. The one thing you want to accomplish the last game of the season is emerge unhurt. If you do that, it's successful. There you look at Chris Volstead, the gigantic right-hander. He's ready to go, and so are we. Take it away, Jason.
Hey, thanks, Steve. We're short an umpire today, just 3 in this game. But we are just about ready to see teams for real. 4 days until the 2018 season starts in Kansas City, 3:10 Central Time, and a first pitch strike from Volstead.
With after the game being getaway day, Jason Starkovich, who has the plate today, should have a liberal strike zone. Both teams get on their charters. They head to where they're heading to, and the baseball season will start in the not-too-distant future.
You would imagine that swings would be rather prevalent in this game.
Well, I believe that both managers telling their spunky bands that if you go to 3-2 very often, or 3-2, then you will be sitting next to me and we'll look at someone else hitting the first or second pitch.
Be a quick way to get yourself out of the game if you wanted to leave, though. I've heard from players in the minor leagues that last day of the season, if you haven't made the playoffs, there are some very stern discussions about first pitch swings, and people trying to say, well, I can get out with one swing, and little competitions.
What you'd really like from your starting pitcher that day, and Volstead does have very good control, you want him to throw early strikes and let them hit the ball as hard as they want to right at somebody. So with that in mind, Saladino right up the middle defensively.
Swing and a miss for strike 3. Volstead with a strikeout to open the ball game.
Take a look at a good change. Just kept drifting away. Zavala, nice framing, and it's 1 up and 1 down.
So as you use the phrase drifting away, my lineup card flew in the wind toward you. So that's a little scary in the Steve's magical ability to call things department.
Who actually did that particular tune? Was that Dobie Gray or was it
Drift
somebody
Away?
else? Yeah, Drift Away or something.
Yeah,
like
Dobie Gray.
Yeah.
But a lot of people have covered Drift Away.
Well,
a lot of people.
I mean, it was a magnificent song. Didn't it win Song of the Year in, what, 32?
That is not an award, but really good try.
Thank you.
I actually made a CD once for a friend of mine of like 15 covers of Dobie Gray's Drift Away. Most of them were horrible. 1-1 pitch is hit very well, but not well enough. Into left center it goes, and Adam Engel is there, as he normally is, 2 down.
This spring, the Diamondbacks are using the humidor, meaning that they're putting a little more moisture in the baseball, making sure that it doesn't get even more compact than it is, and it will cut down distance. And that hopefully is what they've done today, just to test it out for no other reason. That ball was hit hard. What wind there is blowing straight in and across toward left, and it will hold up anything in left center field. So hopefully that, and a quickly assembled humidor here in Camelback Ranch in Glendale, hopefully it will keep a lot of them in the yard.
You're saying that there's a possibility that a makeshift humidor has been constructed somewhere around the ballpark within moments before the game?
Strictly for time constraints. So we shift ahead to the 5th for time constraints.
We move ahead in our action. You know, in the TV parlance, that's called getting gypped, joined in progress, if you show up in like the 3rd inning or something like that. Quite often I feel like I've been gypped.
Just in our partnership or in life?
Well, just specifically in the booth.
Well, just get out of this one with no injuries and things will be just fine.
Local announcer injured in final spring training broadcast.
You know, we're seeing, unfortunately, in the case of Madison Bumgardner and Chris Sale got hit by a line drive, and there's been other guys hit around baseball because a couple of different things. I think the ball is more lively. We know about the maple bats, but the pitchers don't really care how far it goes. You know, home run's a home run. They just don't want to get hit by it.
Saladino, and a 1-2-3 first inning for the Sox defense. When we come back, Yohan Moncada leads it on. Sox in Arizona this year. And here's the lineup for Ricky Renteria. Moncada at the top, then Avi and Abreu, Matt Davidson 4, Yolmer 5. We're scheduled to have him join us when he leaves the ball game, so that'll be enchanting. Saladino, Engel, Zavala, and Booker. Always fun to have Yolmer, but I'm sure he's going to play some sort of trick on me, and that's why I'm a little down on having him from the dugout. He's taken to now when he says, you know, like, hey, how's it going? And he'll reach out to give me a fist bump, and then I'll reach for it, and he'll pull it back, which is pretty great.
Well, I think that's pretty good timing for one of the guys, if not the guy, who is the funniest man on the baseball team.
He is a hysterical guy.
Nick Ramirez on the hill. There you look at the numbers. Craig Counsell, the fine manager of the Brewers, has pretty much solidified his starting rotation. They love their bullpen, and they think the offense is going to be in high gear.
Ramirez knows about both those. He's a former first baseman just a couple of years ago in the Brewers organization.
As so often happens, if you're a hitter and a position player, you see enough curves and sliders and you think pitching is pretty good, especially if you have a strong arm. Conversely, there is guys like Andrelton Simmons, who threw 95 miles an hour, decided that his lot was to play shortstop, and he's one of the best defenders around, and I know the Angels are very happy to have him.
What were you saying in the top of the first about getting to a full count? Because we are there with Moncada and Ramirez.
Not much you can do. They're still grinding it out because Moncada's still very young. He still wants to see a lot of pitches and should, and shown power from both sides of the plate.
Perez at third, and Hernan Perez gets Moncada for out number 1.
Take a look at the defense and how Craig Counsell is going to throw him out there this afternoon. A beautiful afternoon in Glendale. It's Choi, Wren, and Santana in the outfield with Perez and Arcia and VR and Thames at first. Jet Bandy, one of the great names in the game of baseball, behind the plate, and Nick Ramirez on the hill.
I thought Santana was playing right field for a moment.
He does, but he was taken down. It so often happens in spring training. There's a lineup change right before the game. They took him down and they put in Santana.
Would you say then that Santana goodbye?
Well, that was, you know, after the Alamo was all downhill, so they went to Santana instead of Santa Ana.
Did you start the fire? No balls and a strike on Avi Garcia. You know, we've talked a lot about Avi's exit velocity, and I was just clicking around on the old Baseball Savant website, which is an actual website. That's not just what I call it when I look at baseball on the web. And Avi had the second highest exit velocity for all batted balls last year of any significant amount of at-bats for the White Sox, and he was over 90 miles an hour on the average ball coming off his bat. Every ball in play average.
That's pretty good. I mean, he's really strong, and it doesn't necessarily help on more distance. It means the balls get through the infield that other hitters would hit, and they would then catch. And I thought it was a segue for you. I was looking for, when you talked about Webb, I was looking for the story about the venerable Bob Uecker, the longtime legendary broadcaster of the Milwaukee Brewers, and on national fame and commercials and everything else. Uecker's a very funny man. Got bitten by a brown recluse spider. One of those things that if you can help it, you don't want to do.
Avi with a rocket to right center field. It hangs up, though, and Wren is there for out number 2.
Humidor got him, by the way. That normally is a Titanic home run, but kept in the ballpark.
Bob's okay, by the way.
Bob is okay, but, you know, it's a battle. A friend of mine, unfortunately, was bitten 5 times. And
I thought you were saying it was unfortunate he was a friend of yours, the guy you were talking about.
Well, maybe for him, yes, but at any rate, bitten 5 times and then was hospitalized for quite some time with tremendous skin problems because he didn't have any after the little spider was done with him.
Yeah, that's not good.
Well, the Cleveland Spiders were one of the worst baseball teams in history, and they carried it forward, became the Recluse Spiders here in Arizona, and they've resurrected their franchise, but now they're a little more troublesome than they once were.
Well, after all that losing, they've become vicious.
Nasty little fellows.
Steve Stone, Jason Benetti, speaking of nasty little fellows.
Yes, with a, what is it, arachnoid reference?
Arachnophobia.
Kinda.
Base hit for Abreu. 1 on, 2 out for Matt Davidson. Last day of spring training. Sox will be off to Charlotte after the game, where they'll play the AAA club coming up tomorrow. And that game, by the way, will be on NBC Sports Chicago Plus. You can watch the telecast from down at Charlotte's beautiful downtown ballpark, or uptown as they call it. So you may see former Charlotte Knight for a couple of years, Matt Davidson, in that game. What a spring training he's had, huh?
What a last year, and what a spring training. He seems to have figured it out, and quite obviously has enormous power. And we also found out that with a very wry and dry sense of humor, he is one of the funniest men on the team. The interview, if you can call it up, that we had with him the last ball game was just priceless. It was toward the end of the ball game, and just a wonderful interview.
I want to say it was like the 7th inning maybe that we got Davidson on the 21st of March.
And what I really liked about it was that he did something that it really takes a workload off me, because then I don't have to feel responsible, but he kept picking on you the entire interview. And when you ask him about his family, he said, "Why would you ask that? You don't care."
Yeah, very kind. A gentle soul, the Californian Matt Davidson. He flies out. Abreu stranded at first. No score after 1. To present the opening day Ford Drive Around Thursday, April 5th, 3:10 p.m. at Guaranteed Rate Field. Be sure to arrive early to see the introduction of your favorite Chicago White Sox players and coaches, presented by your local Ford stores. Together, we'll go further. Purchase tickets today, right now, whitesox.com. Hope you can join us for opening day from the ballpark. Sox will be in Kansas City for 3, and then 3 in Toronto. 3 night games at Rogers Center coming up in early April. Forecast in Kansas City, at least for opening day, looks pretty good. At last check, about 55 and partly sunny on Thursday, and then the rain ships in Saturday, Sunday.
Well, you have the off day just in case, because everybody wants to make sure that one of those two are the opener.
G-Man Choi plunks the ball down in center field with a leadoff single for Milwaukee. By the way, the Brewers do not have Stephen Vogt in the lineup. He's injured on the disabled list, but boy, is he a rather interesting guy. He's getting you ready for basketball.
Come on. We'll block, do a charge, maybe a few of these. Little travel, little carry. You never know what you're going to see. One of my favorite calls, which you might see, this one's right here, little 2 shots. Main thing they really come to see is that late in the game block and 1. And that's really what we need to see. We're going to be watching for it all March. And here it is right here, little. Count it, white, 2-2. Block, 1 shot.
What a great tutorial to get you ready for the Final Four.
Well, with obviously a Chicago flavor to the Final Four, the fans are delirious in Chicago, and I think it's going to be wonderful, and that gets you ready for gets you ready for some magical basketball this year. And I think it's just been a great run. I mean, absolutely a great one. Loyola has been great. The games are exciting. I mean, just about everyone a cliffhanger. And I mean, how can you not love that team? How can you not love the people associated with that team?
And every win, more and more people in Rogers Park are coming out, and it is it's been rather awesome to watch. But coming up in the bottom of the second inning, we're going to get some thoughts on Stephen Vogt and his officiating from Mike Kosierski, the Sox BP thrower, all-around good guy. He's an official in the offseason in the Chicago area, and in fact has done his own officiating tutorial for the White Sox team. So Cash is going to come on in the bottom of the second and critique Stephen a little bit. They've talked it over in the past about how to deal with a block charge situation, replay reviews, things like that officials talk about. So we're going to get Cash's opinion on how good of an official Vogt is in the bottom of the second inning from the dugout.
Well, we'll get an official interpretation of a guy who is a false official.
Saladino, Moncada, double play.
A softly hit and very easy 6-4-3. Well handled on both ends, and then the easy toss over, and that's 2.
Now Perez with 2 out, nobody on. It's actually a travesty that Cash hasn't gotten any camera time until now. That we haven't had him on, because he's basically the glue guy in the clubhouse. One of the nicest people you're ever going to meet.
And says hello to you every time he passes you, whether it's on the plane or in the clubhouse. Just a very affable young man who is invaluable to the ball club because he can literally do and does everything.
So can Yolmer from the line, on target for out number 3. Still no score. Cash is next.
Play of that inning, and watch the runner. So from foul territory, Yolmer guns it across. Watch the runner. He doesn't know when Abreu shifts back into foul territory. He doesn't know if this is going to hit him in the ear, but he does slow down and realize, oh no, hand up. I got to get out of here because I'm going to wind up with an ear burger. And now we have a special guest.
That was the very definition of surrender, by the way, by Perez. We're joined by Cash down in the dugout. Mike Kosierski, how are you?
Good. How you doing, guys?
Good, good. We've been talking nice about you, so, you know, the check cashed, which is good.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And I saw earlier you had your fan club all around you. They were very excited. They were very spunky. Now, quite obviously a spunky but very small group. Just how many are in the fan club at this point?
Today it's a group of 1.
Well, that's good because when they see this, and it's going to multiply, and it could very well get to 1.5 before you really know it.
Yeah. You speak the truth. Heads up.
Look out. So here's the thing. We just watched Vogt, and you're an official in the offseason. You do a great job. Very highly thought of in everything you do. What do you think of Vogt's ability to make a block charge call?
I'll tell you, well above average.
Really?
Yeah, he does a nice job. You could tell he puts in a lot of time and cares what he does. Ooh. Nice
You
play.
have a future as a play-by-play announcer, I think.
Oh, caught me off guard there.
We tell that to everybody.
Does he have to keep blowing the whistle that much? I mean, is that part of being a good official, is you deafen everybody around you so that they stay away and don't hurt anybody? Is that kind of the deal?
I definitely think so. You want to grab the attention, let them know that the play's stopped, and now it's your time to let everybody know what's going on.
So I got a question for you. How's your tailbone?
Getting better. Getting better, yeah.
So the reason I ask, and we have video of this, Cash, evidently you had a problem with a young man running you over. We're watching it right now. That's Cash at the top of your screen getting absolutely form tackled by a dude.
And down goes Cash. Oh, my Lord. How'd you get up from that?
Well, I was concerned about my hair. I wanted to make sure it was still in the right place, and I'll tell you, I was stunned, though. I did not see it coming one bit.
Yeah, that's pretty clear from the video, honestly. That guy just demolished you, man.
Yeah, I got right back up, though.
So did you give him 2 tees and throw him out of the game, or what'd you do?
Yeah, I just went with one.
You made the call, though. What we don't see in the video is you made the call.
Oh, yeah. You got to keep going.
Did you get it right?
Absolutely, I think, from where I was.
What's Sparky doing behind you there? We saw Greg Sparks sneaking around.
That's my guy, you know. You never know with Sparky. Yeah, you know, but that's my buddy right there.
So here's the thing. What makes somebody good at throwing batting practice?
Oh, you know, I'm not real sure. That's a good question. Base hit by Sally. He was in my BP group today.
Wait a second.
What, is that right?
Play-by-play now? I'll tell you what, we might have an opening for you. Jason would like to take a day off or 2. Come on up here. Let's do a game.
Steve actually is trying to pay the guy that form tackled you to hit me. So, so you take credit for Sally's hit there is what you're saying.
No, that was all him. That was all him. I just locked him in, though.
You locked him in?
Yeah.
but seriously, like, how do you get good at that? Like, what's the deal?
You know, it just started when I started coaching, and I don't know. I really don't even know. I just enjoyed doing it, and then we had to kind of get through BP, so I just would throw, and I wanted it to be quality for the guys to get their work in, and then just kept going with it. And next thing you know, I think I'm the only first baseman though with 2 Tommy Johns, and now I throw batting practice for a living.
Cash,
2 Tommy Johns?
2, and a rotator cuff and labrum.
And really Tommy John also. So 3 of them, and you know about the underwear, so maybe 4, but we won't get into that. But let's talk about if somebody hits you particularly hard in batting practice, do you hit them? Do you throw at them?
Oh, no. We just keep going. We keep rolling. Yeah.
You sure about that?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
We got the Brewers here. When I was in A-ball, we had Chuck Carr. He was the hitting coach. He would throw batting practice. He was all over the map. I mean, he would douse guys in the shoulder. Like, it was not good.
Oh yeah, you have your days. There's some days that it's tough. You know, 2 of my jobs officiating, and hang on, I'm just going to sign this real quick.
Hi, Eddie Alvarez.
They said hello, Eddie.
Yeah, I told you the fan club is growing by leaps and bounds.
It says on his jersey the Cash fan club, right? Is that what that says?
He's the leader of it. Yeah.
And actually the only member from what you said earlier.
Yeah. Yeah, we are taking applications though.
What's the application process like?
Well, there's a fee, but I could waive it for certain guys, but they got to go through the process.
So $500 for Jason?
Minimum. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
No waiving fees.
No,
Big
absolutely
fees.
not. Absolutely not.
Hey, I know you're first of all, you're a big part of the clubhouse in a lot of ways, but you gave a little demo of your officiating, right?
Yes.
To the group?
Yes.
How'd that go? Was it well received?
Yeah, it went well. You know, I just try to give them something to look forward to as the tournament's going on. The best team out there, the officiating team. And, you know, as you know, Loyola's playing well, and Michigan had a big win yesterday, but you're not hearing anything about the referees, so that's good. That's really good.
Is that how you want it? You don't have any showboat in you?
No. Well, no.
Nice.
No, but in all honesty, with games like that, you want to be unnoticed, and those guys have done a great job. You haven't heard anything about it, so that's good.
Well, look, I mean, you have participated in 2 sports as far as being top level. And how do you deal with a guy getting in your face and challenging you that umpires have to deal with every day? So you're doing it on the basketball court, you're seeing it on the baseball field, but umpires have to deal with this. How do you diffuse situations that could escalate and become fairly ugly?
Well, you have to be calm. You know, you got to put yourself in their shoes, that this is their livelihood, and it's what they do. And you know, we're not perfect, but you have to let them talk and let them get their say. And oh wow,
that ball is hit really well by Sebi Zavala, and it's gone by a mile, Cash.
Wow, he was in my group today too.
Well, that is a lesson to you, my friend. No, not you, Cash. A lesson to you, Jason.
Yes?
Yeah.
Listen to that home run call and adopt it. And I think every time someone hits something that looks like that, just go, oh, wow, and then, you know, move on.
Oh, Cash's home run
Yes,
call.
absolutely. It was magnificent.
It's going to be on shirts real soon. So, did Sebi hit you that hard earlier?
Yeah. I'll tell you, he always did. What a great kid, too. He is just, oh, my gosh.
Why? What do you like about him?
Just a high character, high quality person. He works hard, and just a great guy. He is, he's top notch.
He's got some big power. I mean, that ball was tattooed.
No doubt. And he could catch, too. He is a really, really above average receiver, good game caller. He's going to be a good one.
What is the closest you've ever gotten to losing your cool as an official?
Oh, gosh. You know, sometimes when I would say a player kind of challenges you in a sense, and you want them to know that you're working hard, you know, working just as hard. Again, you're not perfect, but when they make a comment and they get you, sometimes it hits you in the right spot, and heads up, we're good.
You're always so conscientious, like
gotta be.
Heads up, as though like the people at home would possibly be in danger, and you put yourself in front of that.
Yeah, got to.
I like that about you. Hey, so we were together like 12 years ago now, 13 years ago with the Windy City Thunderbolts.
We were.
Yeah. Your thoughts on the differences between independent baseball and the majors?
I'll tell you, it's unbelievable. That's a great league. I
Isn't
really
it though?
enjoy.
We had fun.
Gosh, we really did. Every day was so much fun and brought a different challenge, and I really loved it. And they do such a great job there. But
what do you think about Steve Trout? He was our pitching coach then.
Man, unbelievable. Like he was pretty old school. He did some old training methods, and the only guy that I've ever seen throw batting practice from the mound. And he tried to get people out in batting practice.
That is very true.
I was a teammate of his, and when he was in his really good years, he had this nasty sinker away from the left-handers and away from the right-handers and into the left-handers. And I mean, it moved, it was hard, it was always low. I mean, he had pretty good stuff.
Oh yeah, and he brought that out to the mound for BP too.
Heads up, Cash. You're
I'm
good. Hey, we've asked you about like 10 people while you've been on. You really, truly, like, I'm not overselling this. You think everybody's a wonderful person, don't you?
Well, you got to see the good in them, and this is a great. I mean, I'm around a lot of great people every day, and just so happy to be here, and I'm lucky. You know, it's a great organization, and people just treat you first class. It's great.
I say that. Some people I'd say that jokingly too, but I say that because I think people need to know what type of guy you are.
Oh,
because everybody, unequivocally, everybody in that clubhouse appreciates what you do. They care about you, and there's one person in the fan club, at least on the jersey, but everybody in that clubhouse appreciates you, and we're glad we could have you on.
Oh, that means a lot. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Cash.
I really appreciate it, you guys.
It was a pleasure. Now hit the bricks.
Beat it.
Thanks, Cash.
Thank you guys
See
so
you later,
much.
Cash.
Mike Kashersky, official BP tosser, an all-around great guy here with the White Sox. 3-0 Sox on the Zavala home run as we step aside. Score pitching change for the Brewers in Yohan Moncada with a 1-0 count. It's one of your former broadcast partners on the mound. It's Josh Ewan.
Well, that's one of those guys that with an L, he is Josh Lewin. He is unfortunately not Josh Lewin. He is Josh Ewan. There you look at what he did in the minor leagues last year, and we know what Josh Lewin did in the major leagues last year. So he's a little bit bigger fellow all the way around than Josh is.
Does Josh Lewin throw a little sidearm, a little underneath?
He's a submariner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In that he eats lots of sandwiches, or?
It's a watch, I think. Is that one of those big watches, fancy watches?
There's a swing and a miss for strike 3. More stories about former Steve broadcast partners when we come back. Seby Zavala, who led the organization in the minors with 21 home runs last year, bashes this pitch to make it 3-zip. April 7th, 1:10 p.m. for his 15,000 fans. Get a White Sox winter hat presented by Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola, taste the feeling. To purchase tickets, visit whitesox.com. We are in the top of the third, and Seby Zavala has given the Sox a 3-0 lead. He's back behind the plate catching, and that's a young man who comes out of San Diego State and really kind of thundered onto the scene last year and showed his power in the White Sox farm system as Bandy is on. Sox drafted Zach Collins in the first round, and all eyes were kind of on Zach coming out of Miami, and they still are, certainly. But Seby Zavala is somebody that Rick Hahn has kind of been forced to mention. He's been headline news in his season last year. And funny enough, at Sox Fest, there was a Q&A with Rick Renteria and Rick Hahn, and you know, fans are very knowledgeable about a lot of things, and you expect certain questions. The first question that somebody asked of Rick Hahn in that panel was about Seby Zavala, and Rick just kind of laughed like, I thought I might get a question about him, but not the first question. And that's how good of a season he had. Fans are noticing down in A-ball.
You get drafted in whatever spot you get drafted in. Obviously, your first-round draft pick, wherever it is, whether it's high or low, first-round draft pick, you get some advantages as far as how they look at you, because they have a very big investment in you. And obviously, you're in the first round because they are evaluating your talent. You deserve to be there. Once you put on a professional uniform and you go to the various places you go to, then it's the best man is going to emerge as the man. And so, you know, I have every intention to believe that Zach Collins is going to be very good, swings from the left side, very good plate discipline, and has a chance to be exceptional. But now that they're all in this together in the Sox organization, The guys who take that next step or two are guys who are going to get advancement. And the Sox have been always good about not letting them languish in the minor leagues. You show you can do it, they're going to move you up as quickly as they possibly can, and they will give you a shot at the major leagues. That's what this organization has been long before this rebuilding situation that's going on now. If you're good enough, you get a shot. That's why people should enjoy being with the White Sox, because unlike other teams who stack you way back ahead of the first-round draft pick or the guy that you get traded from and you have to substantiate the deal or whatever happens, that usually happens.
That looks like a hit and run that didn't go so well, and that also is a throw that didn't go so well, so we're left with what we had before.
And the Sox have always been a team that will take their young players, whether they throw the baseball or hit the baseball, and give them a shot at the major leagues. That's why it's good to be with the Chicago White Sox organization, because if you are good enough, you'll never be buried. You will get a chance, and that's all you ask for. Give me a chance. If I fail, I fail. Give me a chance and let me win or lose the job on my own ability.
And there's nothing to say that Zavala and Collins couldn't both be really good, and you have a really great problem to have where you have two fantastic catchers.
You know, we have a high draft pick this year, quite obviously, and have a lot of draft picks toward the top. And so when that happens, there's a chance maybe there's another catcher or two or another shortstop or two that emerge as being, you know, really good. Now, Tim Anderson is going to be there, I think, for a long time because he keeps getting better and better. But when you bring all this talent into your organization, that depth gives you insurance policies, and that's what it is. You keep developing these guys. And look, there's a sabermetrician out there who can quantify just exactly how you're going to make the major leagues and where you're going to make it, depending on where you're drafted and how good you're going to be and all of the things that go with it. And it comes down at the end to a competition among guys who are just wanting to beat out the other guy. If you're here, you're phenomenally competitive and you want to win every battle.
Well, that's where you can flout the numbers. The numbers come from an expected trajectory. It's all based on probability and expectation, based on background and previous numbers and all of that. But if you substantially improve, and that's where teaching becomes a major part of this, if you substantially improve, then you are going to create a different life for yourself, whether on the field or financially.
I saw Aaron Judge in the Arizona Fall League. I saw Aaron Judge a couple of years ago. I looked at the holes in that swing and what pitches he was not handling, and I thought, well, this is a very big and very young man who has a lot of talent. Pretty good in the field also. And I thought, you know, maybe an outside chance sometime down the road. And then last year, this guy shows up who is anything but the Aaron Judge that I had seen for a couple of years and becomes the Aaron Judge we saw last year that terrorized pitchers all over baseball. A quantum leap from where he was before. I mean, that's what happens to young guys. Some guys figure it out. And if you have enormous talent, and Judge obviously does, and Moncada does, and Abreu did, and you have that kind of talent, you don't really know when it's going to come. But when it does, it's startling. And that transition for Aaron Judge to last year, Aaron Judge, I mean, he was a destroyer of pitchers. He just hit the ball, never came down. But that wasn't the guy that I saw. He was just now mature, could handle it, knew the approach, knew what everybody was going to work him with, and then decided he wasn't going to miss too many pitches anymore. And yeah, he strikes out. Yeah, he still swings at bad pitches. But for him, the plate is not 24 inches anymore. It's back to 17. He looks for pitches, he gets them, and then he crushes them.
Did you see the lineup, folks out there the other day? The Yankees had Aaron Judge leading off, which is a terrifying thought. Your first act as a pitcher that day is to face Aaron Judge. Good luck. Good luck.
And then, you know, you got Gregorius there. Bird got hurt again, which he does. Unfortunately, you know, the young man's body really betrays him at terrible times. And Sanchez is right in the middle of that lineup. And you look at him and you go, oh, well, I'm looking for the soft spot. Well, keep looking, pal. There really isn't any. And then, you know, your soft spot still can hurt you. And God forbid you don't get them out and you roll over to the top again in the middle of that lineup. They're going to score a bundle.
Off speed for strike three. Wren punches out, and 2 down with VR coming up. There's a ticket plan for every fan. Get access to every opponent with a partial ticket package or handpick your games with a 10-game package. Secure your seats for the 2018 season today. For more info, 312-674-1000, or you can go right now to whitesox.com.
Have I ever told you how good you are at those promos, how masterfully you handle them, how melodious the tones are? I mean, promo-wise, you're probably at the top of the business. You're at the top of your game, and I believe, and I'm thrilled to hear your promos, and the only thing I would like to do is hear them more all season long, consistently.
If the radar's not on for you at home, this is Steve's effort to shirk responsibility.
Well, of course.
Yeah.
And what else?
Your middle name is actually Shirk.
Yes, and responsibility is the one I use sometimes when I check into hotels.
Hyphenated.
Yes.
Stephen Shirk Responsibility Stone. Only person in America with a hyphenated middle name. 2-0 from Volstad.
There's some truth to that.
The count? Yeah, it's right. It's right there. What a spring Chris Volstad has had for the Sox. He's been very good.
Been around a long time. He's certainly a large fellow, and he gets the ball over the plate. And there's something to be said for experience. Stay unhurt, get the ball over the plate, and if you've shown that you can do it in the major leagues, especially if you're left-handed, but the right-handed guys with experience and they're healthy and they throw strikes, they usually eventually find a job in the big leagues.
He's only allowed 3 hits so far in 13 2/3 in Cactus League play. His ERA is 0. 9 strikeouts. He's putting up, and we're in the stadium that the Dodgers and White Sox split. He's putting up Kershaw-like spring training numbers. Clayton Kershaw and Volstad are at the top of the ERA list in the Cactus League right now.
Pretty amazing when you look at Kershaw and you're mentioned in the same sentence in anything positive with Kershaw. I mean, when they talk to you in that sentence and it's a positive statistic, that's pretty good. It doesn't matter what the stat is. If you're compared to Clayton, you're doing it okay.
Volstad continues to prohibit runs in spring training. 3-0 Sox over the Brewers.
It's the Volkswagen Smile at Spring.
To sit down with Rick Hahn, Sox general manager, just the other day, and I asked him who the standout pitcher was this spring for him.
I'd say the one name that's probably jumped out the most is not one that's going to be with us to start, and that's Dylan Cease. Obviously, everyone knows about the stuff, power arm, plus breaking ball, great mound presence out there. And really, he is sort of in a position similar to where Michael Kopech was a year ago at this time, in that his career high for innings over the course of his season is somewhere in the 70s or something like that. And really what we're looking from Dylan at this point is to go out and take the ball every fifth day, manage the starter's workload, and just let the stuff take over, which is very likely going to lead to good results if he's able to do that. If in fact he has that type of season where he throws 130 some odd innings like Michael did last year, I suspect this year we're going to be talking about him the way we're talking about Michael Kopech right now. He's got as high as upside as anyone in the organization.
Career .289 ERA in the minors for Dylan Cease, who came over in that Jose Quintana deal. And we hear so much about Eloy Jimenez, but I know you heard from a lot of people when that trade happened about both Cease and Jimenez together.
Well, Jimenez, everybody said, and it's proven out, that he was going to be major league star. I mean, this guy with a bat, there's nothing he can't do. And then I asked about Cease, and they said, you're going to love this guy. He has got a huge arm, and he will take the next step and be something special. So a lot of the guys that aren't the headliners in deals all of a sudden work out really well for you, like the throw-in guy that nobody knows about. That's what front offices are all about, is getting an edge, something that you know about somebody that you don't think other people do, and you say, hey, how about that guy, when you know that you're not going to get that guy. You say, I'd like that guy as a throw-in in the deal. And they said, absolutely not. So as a fallback position, you say, I'd like that guy that you really wanted in the first place, and the other organization says, no problem, take him, because they want to protect that guy that they believe is better. And that's how deals are made, and that's how the extra guys, the throw-ins and deals that nobody really has heard about, and Cease was not one of those guys. He was highly acclaimed, but those throw-ins sometimes turn into gold. And Rick and Kenny and the entire front office, they do a very good job of looking for the guys that might not headline the deal, but guys that come along and become very productive members of the organization.
Cease, a former 6th-round pick. That was back in 2014, and part of the reason he was a 6th-round pick is because he's already had Tommy John surgery, not dissimilar to the way Lucas Giolito was coming out of high school on his way to the Nationals.
Mike Rizzo knew that Giolito was headed for surgery, and yet he was so talented, so big and strong, so smart, with a high pitching acumen, that he said, you know what, we'll wait. This is a young kid. We want to limit his innings anyway, is what Rick Hahn just told you about limitation of innings early. So we'll wait for him. And fortunately for us, and unfortunately for Mike Rizzo, Lucas Giolito has come alive for the second organization he was with. They needed Adam Eaton, and we are very happy to have the three we got, with Giolito headlining, Lopez in the rotation, and Dunning coming up, looking for everybody's eyes as a guy who's going to be a major league starter.
Lucas Giolito, by the way, I mean, we're talking about him being on his second team, and he's been through Tommy John surgery and all this stuff, as though he was like a vaudeville comedian that had been on the trail for 50 years. He's 23 years old. It's amazing.
The transition from before he got here and when he got here is a stark and graphic illustration of how young players have the light turned on, and when it does for the really talented young players, the sky is the limit. And for Lucas, I mean, he keeps throwing the way he's throwing. It's going to be a succession of 15 to 20 game winning seasons for him.
He's on his way to be the second guy in the rotation right now. That would put him on Saturday in Kansas City after James Shields throws the Thursday game for his 8th career opening day start.
That's pretty amazing, and it really shows you, when you look at the sum total of James's career, you realize that he dominated a lot of staffs. He was #1 for a lot of teams. And Ricky Renteria very happy to have James Shields at the top. James Shields, who they call Grandpa these days because he's far and away the oldest starter that we have, and yet he's been around so long. He's giving the young pitchers a lot of the wisdom, and this league has a lot to teach young pitchers. James has been through it all. He's the guy they look to. He is, for all intents and purposes, the leader of that pitching staff because there's nothing he hasn't seen. And the youngsters are taking advantage of his experience and expertise and trying to ask him every question they can think of so they can get better, so they can headline staff, so they can have 8 opening day starts. It's a thrill. I don't care if you're 100 years old. You get to start opening day, it is thrilling for you. The stands are filled. The weather is different than where you came from in spring training, and all of a sudden you look up and you see the third deck in a major league stadium, and you're out there with the baseball. Again, I don't care how old you are, it sends chills up your spine when you're out there and you're the opening day guy. And it doesn't matter anything else other than that. You're the guy they look to lead that season off. You hope to lead it off on a positive tone, and if that happens, sometimes it kind of sets the tone for the next guy behind you. Best thing, competition among the starters. You throw a good game, I'm behind you, I want to throw a better game, and the guy behind me wants to do the same thing. And that's how a rotation works as a team within a team. Same thing with the bullpen. It's a team within a team. And those guys in the pen believe they all work together. And when everybody does their job, it works really well. But if one guy doesn't, all of a sudden, this chain just stops. And so they want to make sure they're not the guy that doesn't do well.
You still get chills on opening day as you watch?
Absolutely. I think it's just wonderful because you're coming out of a long spring training this year, a spring training that ends a lot earlier than most. But when you're going for it, when, as they say, the bell rings, you can't hope but be, number one, just hopeful of this season with a positive attitude. The sky's the limit. Maybe we catch fire. Maybe we surprise some people. I don't know. You know, you look at all the things that make it positive. And then, you know, you just hope that everybody stays healthy. And you go into a season, everybody starts at 0-0. You go from there. And sometimes teams, you know, we've had a couple of worst to first teams that have come up and won their divisions. This happens a couple times. And when that happens, I believe that the team that did go worst to first, they thought they had a shot. And as it turned out, they not only thought they had a shot, but they did have a shot. And I think one of them might have been Atlanta. One of them might have been Minnesota. I think there was a couple of teams that went worst to first. Not sure exactly who it is, but I mean, it happens. That's why the game is great.
And I mean, not to get overly optimistic about 2018 because there are expectations of the window really being open after this season. However, I was looking at the schedule just the other day, and the Sox don't play the Indians until late May. We don't see Cleveland until 2 months in.
Only thing better would be to play them in late August. Get all 18 of them in from August on.
But as you think about it, you know, this division is not going to be that ogre that it has been in the past. You're not going to have the Cleveland, Kansas City ruling the roost thing. Minnesota should be where it was last year.
Yeah,
that's the expectation.
They're a pretty good team, and they really helped themselves in the pitching department, which is what they needed desperately.
So Patrick Leonard is in to pinch run for Sanchez, and it was Mason Robbins checking in for Davidson. So 2 on. Eddie Alvarez to bat, the speed skating medalist and member of the Cash fan club, takes a strike.
A very prominent member of the Mike Krzyzewski fan club, by the way. Yeah, he does everything. He is a jack of all trades in the fan club.
Secretary.
Yeah.
Vice president, treasurer. Over third, Eddie plunks it down for a hit. Here comes Robbins, and the Sox are back on the board. Eddie Alvarez with the RBI, and the inning continues as the ball gets away. Welcome to the last day of spring training.
E7 at the tail end of the extravaganza, and it appears there's going to be another trip to the mound. We'll take a look again. Just eased over the infield. 1 run's going to score anyway, and then apparently the inability to get rid of the baseball cost him the out at second base as the throw does get away. The Marlins move up.
Just think back to the footage of Stephen Vogt talking about the officials talking with their hands over their mouths and saying, well, you know, we're going to act like we're saying something, but we need to be protective of that. And I know there's more advice than that coming.
Usually the glove, because it gives you more coverage, unless you have an enormous hand, which happens just coincidentally to be bigger than the glove. If that's the case, well, you're 13 feet tall and probably not playing this game, but it is the glove that they use during the season, so nobody can lip read.
If that's the case, then you're probably the pitch man for Hamburger Helper.
That's good. I could do that.
You could?
Yeah, what, like $10 a month or something like that?
That's your running rate right now?
Well, that is the fully discounted rate, which I give only at specific times, which is every day that ends in Y.
Is that a guaranteed rate, Steve?
That is, oh my God, what a segue. Wonderful way to get in the name of the old ball yard.
And there we go. Adam Engel, who came into spring training and absolutely won the center field job.
And deservedly so. A completely different guy. Last year we knew he could get him from alley to alley as good as anybody in baseball. And we're waiting for the light to turn on offensively. And at least this spring, it has indeed done that from the beginning of spring until where we sit right now.
2 balls and a strike on Engel, who walked and scored in the second. Adams a couple buttons short on his jersey. They're trying to get a final tan in here in Arizona.
Well, like most hitters, he loves warm weather. I mean, this is a guy that hits in warm weather. He loves it. He feels good. He feels loose. He gets stretched out, and that's why they call him 90-degree Engel.
Is that what they call him?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, he's thinking about going into the NASA program and becoming launch angle if we're going to do that.
Oh, geez. I can't believe that you would piggyback onto it. Just a horrible pun.
It's one of the hallmarks of this show. 2-2. Engel serves it to center field, and that ball gets down. 2 more, score. It's 6-0. He just keeps doing it, Steve.
Pretty impressive. I mean, when you look at the crescendo from the start of spring training until right here today, Adam Engel just keeps getting better and better. He certainly is stronger. The stroke is more compact. He feels so comfortable up on the bat with a little bit and takes a fastball right back up the middle. Drives in a pair. His day is done, and his spring is done. Great job by Adam Engel. We look forward to seeing him all year long. The pitchers look forward to his defense. And by the way, he is stinging the baseball consistently.
Sox chase another pitcher out. 6-zip your score. More from Rick Hahn after this.
His team is going to keep grinding.
Angle, and here's the general manager Rick Hahn about Adam's adjustments.
Adam has made no secret about needing to make some adjustments in terms of his hitting mechanics, and the work that Todd Steverson has done with him has really seemingly paid off. He's become a much more simpler load, much more direct path to the ball, and you've seen the results so far this spring in terms of him driving the ball around the field.
Certainly can.
And certainly everybody loves what they've seen of Adam Engel. And I personally, when I got a significant load and make it simplistic, I mean, I got up to 100. That's what I hit, and it was that simplistic load that really put me over the top into triple digits.
What you're leaving out is that was your only choice for the type of load that you could have.
It was horrible. As we look at Radimus Liz, there you see what he's done. Actually, his 9th game, and pretty impressive. The Brewers absolutely love their bullpen. They figure they're going to be dominant top to bottom, and if they do indeed chase down the Cubs this year or get into the playoffs in the wild card, not to diminish the starting rotation, because at best, especially when Jimmy Nelson comes back, starting rotation is good, but the bullpen is outstanding. They're going to do it on offense and that bullpen, and then the starters will come. They'll get together when everybody gets healthy, and they'll come along. But the Brewers, to a man, believe that they can chase down the Cubs. They're not going after the wild card. They're going after the division. They believe they can do it.
To second base, and that will do it for the Sox in a lucrative 3rd inning. 3 runs across, 6-0 your score. Six nothing Sox, and that means we're joined by one of our favorite people. Oh no, I'm told we're not. We're just gonna have Yolmer Sanchez.
Yes.
Hi Yolmer.
How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Very good, my friend.
We're friends now?
Nah. just in TV.
Hey, nice sunglasses.
Oh, thanks.
Where'd you get those? Toys R Us or what?
Oakley Store.
Oh, it's a little pricier than I can afford.
Are you ready to go? I mean, do you want this to end already, which obviously today and tomorrow it will, and then you ready to go? You did everything you wanted to do this spring?
Yeah, I feel really good. I feel that I work everything I want, and I see the team really good, ready to go, like you're saying. So we're just waiting for opening day.
Hey, nice arm there over at third in foul territory. That was a heck of a little cannon you got there.
Just that was just like 10% I saved for the season.
You still got plenty more in the tank, is what you're telling us.
Yeah.
Well, tell us the difference between third base and the reaction, and second or short, where you have a little more time.
Yeah, like you say, third base more reaction. Most of the time the ground ball land right, they coming fast, so you just have to react and get in good position. In shortstop and second base, you have more time. So and make a good throw.
Who's the most fun guy in the clubhouse to be around?
Right here, my friend.
You. Your modesty is great.
I think Delmonico. Yeah.
You think Delmonico?
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
Why Nicky?
Because he's funny all the time, 24 hours.
Is that right?
Yeah.
So what do you want this season? What are your hopes for this year?
Championship. The World Series play in the World Series and win everything. That's the goal. So if you make the playoff or you don't win the World Series, it's not a good season at all.
Yolmer, has anybody ever told you that if there has to be a winner in a contest, why it shouldn't be you guys?
No.
No, because you have a chance to do it. And are your guys feeling that this year, regardless of where this rebuild is, are you feeling you got a chance this year? Does the team feel that way?
Definitely. If we don't feel that, why play? You know, if you don't play to win everything, to win the World Series, what is the reason that you play? So we feel really good. The team feel really good. So I think we're gonna do a lot of good things this year.
Do you have a deck of cards you want to show people that card trick you did at Sox Fest?
Yeah, come down.
I'm not getting within 50 feet of you after that, okay?
Why?
Because I don't trust you
It's okay.
with card tricks.
It's
at
okay.
least.
You know, Yolmer, being around a while, I mean, you're one of those very young veterans. You've been around a while. What does Jose Abreu mean to the young Sox infielders and the players in general? I mean, where are they looking to him for leadership?
You know, everybody see Jose Abreu here like really good example. He do everything inside or outside the field. If you take one guy as an example right here is Pito, like we call him right here, Pito. He's really professional and he help you everything. If you need help, he will be there for you. And you know, he's unbelievable guy.
Whose decision was it to do the piggyback ride? You or Tim Anderson during our interview the other day?
Oh, Anderson.
That was on Tim?
No, it wasn't
I
me.
don't believe that for a second.
That wasn't me.
Blame it on the other guy. That's great, Yolmer. Nice job.
Right?
Hey, why haven't you changed your Twitter handle from Carlos to Yolmer?
Because Carlos is my name too, my second name. But I gonna think about it because you said so.
Really?
Maybe today.
Any chance of all the negative stuff and you go to something like Yolmer Benetti, something like that, to change it up a bit?
No, if I use that name, nobody gonna follow me. So
Nice.
no way, no chance.
You're the best, you know that?
I know. I
Yeah,
know.
that's true. That's true. So here's the thing. We've seen you play a bunch of infield positions.
Yeah,
Can you play outfield too? Have you played outfield before?
I can play everything.
Is that right? Catcher?
Everything.
How about play-by-play man? Can you do play-by-play man and play that?
I do my best. I like to win. I do my best.
Steve wants you to come up and basically take my job, is what he's asking.
No, that's not it. But you know, you're a wonderful ping pong player. We have played before because you're so good and so young with reflexes that are so sharp, and you see the ball and all the spins and everything else. It's magnificent. So when we play again, I will play with a ping pong paddle. You will play with a big stick of celery. And then we'll figure it out and see who wins, and then that will be the champion, because that's the advantage you have to give somebody who is in his dotage.
I can use whatever, but I still beat you.
Whoa, he said he still beat you.
Oh, I know. I mean,
With celery.
he's very good.
What else are you good at? I know you're going to say everything, but like, I know you said you played soccer a little bit. I know you're good at video games. What else you got in there?
I don't know. Like you say, everything. I can do everything.
Once you can do everything, there's not much left in there.
No.
You excited to go to
let's see.
Charlotte tomorrow? You spent some time there.
Yeah, I spent some time in Charlotte. It's a really good city. I love the city, but hopefully just going to visit.
Just going to visit. That's right.
Yeah, I don't think you're
Yeah, we're
gonna be
not
seeing. I don't think you're
sending
gonna
you
be seeing too much of Charlotte anymore, Yolmer.
No. I spent a lot of good time in Charlotte, but I love Chicago more. So.
2 down here in the inning. What's your favorite road city? Where do you like going?
Chicago is the best city, my friend. Chicago.
No, but like on the road. I know you're running for office and you're going to say Chicago the whole time. Where on the road do you like to go?
Let's see.
Well, Chicago is good, Yolmer.
No, it's not good. It's great, my friend.
I know. I've been there since 1973. I know, and it is my favorite city in the world. Love it, as everybody who plays there does, and people who pass through will say it's the best road city in baseball. I mean, they love to come to Chicago. We get the advantage of living there and taking advantage of the greatest city that I've ever seen.
Yes, that's right. But I love New York, Boston. But most of the time I stay in the hotel and I try to get rest, you know, and so, but I like to play in those ballparks.
Do you actually sleep? It
yo.
seems like you have too much energy to sleep.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you. Thank
Hey.
you very much. I sleep very well.
So long, Yomer.
Great
Thank you
to
very
see
much.
you.
Thank you, guys.
Okay,
Thank you.
take
I
care,
Nice
guys.
sunglasses.
Your pleasure, your pleasure.
Our pleasure. He's right. 6-zip. What a guy. Hey, Steve Stone along with you, our entire crew, Michelle Godwin, Bill Brophy, Jim Angio, Chris Kamka down in the truck, and everybody, we say hello to you for doing such a wonderful job this spring training. I know it's a heavy workload for the folks in the truck, and we very much appreciate it.
Well, it's not only our games. Is the folks work most of the games, and they're working every day, and they're working long, hard hours. We come in, we do a couple of hours, tell a few jokes, do a little dance, and we go home. And the crew is here long before us and long after us. And so we applaud them for, once again, a magnificent spring. And I think everybody who they do work with in the spring feels the same way about them. So congratulations, my dear, and congratulations, Michelle. You did just great, and the guys are just terrific, and it makes our job easy. They work very hard at it. They take a lot of pride in it, and they make us look as good as we can possibly be, which is mediocre at best, but it's not because of them.
It's great, and don't lump me in with that, but you're right.
Oh, yeah, are you kidding? I mean, Yomer, he said it.
It's
It was our pleasure to do the interview with him.
Wow. Those were pretty high-end sunglasses that he looked like he got from the claw game in the arcade.
Hey, you spare no expense if you're Yomer, and that was kind of nice. They were handsome glasses.
Booker the ground ball, and the ball gets away, so he is safe at first. You got something to tell us?
I do. Sox fans, you can show your team pride with a White Sox checking, an official White Sox MasterCard debit card only available through the local Wintrust Community Bank. Go to wintrust.com/Sox to learn more. Members FDIC, and that was what Wintrust is.
It's a base hit for Booker, and now Jake Elmore will bat. Sox and Royals on Thursday right here on NBC Sports Chicago. You can join us for that. And by the way, tomorrow night when the Sox are in Charlotte, that's 5:05 Central Time, you find NBC Sports Chicago Plus, and that game will air live from that beautiful uptown ballpark in Charlotte. And Jake Elmore a single.
I'd like to pass along best wishes to a dear friend of mine, longtime friend of mine, and you know him, Jack Ruby, looking on today as he does just about each and every game that we play. He watches it from his palatial estate in the south of Euclid. No, that's where I'm from, South Euclid, but he's in the south area of Chicago, and you can call it anything you want to. I call it where Jack lives, and that's where he lives and watches the game. So knowing he's tuning in. Hello, Jack.
Hi, Jack.
We'll get ready for it. Don't say that, please. Just a hello is good. Hi, Jack. Not so much. Anyway, we're ready for opening day, Jack, and we'll be in Kansas City.
Jack would drive there. It would take him about 9 days. Jamison Fisher to bat in the second spot.
You did remember from years ago, well before your time, the old Mr. Magoo driving cartoons?
I don't know that I want to sell him out like this. Fisher a base hit. So they're loaded for the Sox. Jack's fine behind the wheel until his GPS loses service on lower whacker drive.
That's pretty tough for anybody, by the way. I still don't go down there because I would be there all the season. You'd be wondering where I went. Well, he's in lower whacker. We don't know exactly where he is. We just know he's down there somewhere. By the way, is it time to announce the Pittsburgh-Toronto score coming out of Florida?
Nope. That'll be coming in the 12th inning of today's game.
Okay, I'll hold that in abeyance, Counselor.
Please do. Bases loaded for Matt Skoll, who had a very nice spring. One of the final cuts of this team.
He showed he could really sting the baseball. He hit the ball hard consistently, and left-handers, right-handers didn't bother him all that much. So it's been very impressive. If he had to make an impression, you always do when you're a young player. He made it this spring. I mean, he looks like he's going to be a force offensively, and you know, it's just player after player. They come up through the system, and all of a sudden, even if you came from someplace else, you assimilate into the system, you go with the Sox style of how they want to develop you, and he's one of those guys that opened a few eyes.
Well, I think that's part of what gets Sox fans excited, and what gets us excited is that Ricky Renteria has certainly instituted a White Sox way of doing things, and we saw it permeate the clubhouse, especially at the end of last season.
Laid a lot of groundwork last year when the team quite obviously was not going to be competitive, and Ricky accepted the fact that they were where they were and they are what they are, but he set down the fundamentals of winning baseball. You sink a foundation deep enough of winning baseball, and all of a sudden it goes down to the minor leagues. It's the way the White Sox want to play. It's the way they want to play under Ricky Renteria. It's accepting nothing less than full-out hustle. And you tell these guys, each and every guy that passes through in the world of Ricky Renteria, this is how we are going to play, and this is how we are going to win. Learn it, understand it. You will be here, and when you get here, it's going to look exactly the same as where you've been. And that's how the organization becomes cohesive, and that's how Ricky wants them all to play, and he accepts nothing less.
And in part, implicit there is, if you don't learn it and you don't do it, number one, I'll take you out of the game. Number two, somebody else is gonna.
Well, that's the thing. You realize when you look at the depth of talent in this organization, you're looking down at about 10 guys that are going to take your job if you don't do it. So as long as you have it, you bear down, you do all the things right, and you keep it. Because if you don't, very quickly someone else will, and that's kind of where the Sox organization is in at this point. They've got talent, they have depth all throughout the system, up and down, many guys for very few jobs. And when you get the opportunity, and you might only get it once, you best make the best of that opportunity.
3 balls, 2 strikes on Skoll. Booker at third, Elmore at second, Fisher at first. Bases loaded, nobody out, 4th inning. Outside, ball 4, and a run walks in. Let's give you your Sox math question for today. Hashtag Sox math on Twitter. First correct answer wins our undying affection at spring training, even for the prize shelf. Number of days until the Sox opener, plus the number of letters in the state that opener will be played in. Hashtag Sox math on Twitter. First correct answer wins our undying love and affection. No purchase necessary.
And a hearty handshake and a Laurel, what you were saying?
Yeah, just a Laurel.
Okay. Yeah, you get that too.
But on the road this year, you know, since we can't take the prize shelf on the road, we're going to provide you some interesting goodies from road cities.
That's going to be fun because there are a lot of things that you get to see when going on the road. And we're going to bring you things mostly from the ballpark, but occasionally from outside these various ballparks around the American League and in interleague play. So it should be interesting if you are fortunate and smart enough to win Sox Math, which I will tell you is going to get substantially more difficult as we move along.
There are rumblings of a Sox Math Tournament of Champions. We may actually crown one Sox Math champion in 2018. Stay tuned. Stay tuned.
But you have to win that and then the conference championship before you're allowed to go to the big show. And sometimes you can win the division, you can win that, and then you can't win the championship for the conference, and then you have to sit home and watch everybody else go play.
Whatever that means, the Sox have a couple more runs coming. One's in, the second one scores, 9-0.
The offense once again in high gear. We've seen it a number of times this spring, but that's what happens in Arizona especially. And the Sox youngsters taking advantage of the conditions and getaway day and everything that goes into the last game of the Cactus League.
So Mason Robbins drives in a couple. Elmore and Fisher score. And the Brewers are going deeper into the keg for another pitcher. 9-0. Ballpark Pass is on sale now for a limited time only. You can get access to 36 home games in April, May, and September, excluding opening day in the Cup Series, for just $126. It'll be available through your MLB Ballpark app. Get more information right now at whitesox.com/pass and download the MLB Ballpark app through the App Store today, right now.
Look at the coverage in games. You look at Jacob Barnes. You get so many games for $126. I mean, that's really a tough thing to pass up. You get to come to the ballpark, see the youngsters. You see them early in the season. You won't see quite as many. But in September, that's when it's going to be wonderfully exciting to see this team, when the rosters expand to the 40-man. And a lot of the young talent will come up to the major leagues then to get a look. It's going to be great to see them in September, and you get access to it as well as the first 2 months for $126. Couldn't be a better deal if it was designed by anybody else. And the White Sox want the people in the ballpark to see the future young stars. And what better time than certainly in September. I mean, we're going to see, we're going to see a couple of the youngsters obviously in the early months of the season, but you're going to see a lot of them late in the year.
It's amazing, and there was just a story about this the last couple days, that last year in spring training, every writer that came to Camelback Ranch was getting ready to get the pen out to do a Yohan Moncada story. And now it's just like, well, he's here and he's at second base. There's still that star potential. He's still worth following every step. It's just that the next guy thing has trickled down to Kopech and Jimenez.
And people realize that he's still in the infancy stages of what should be a spectacular career. And when you think he should be a star and you realize he's 22 years old, he will be a star. It's going to take him a bit. And so, he becomes old hat, because all of these new young stars that are not here, they're very excited about them. But Moncada's going to have a really good year this year. He showed in spring training better plate discipline. When he did go after something, more times than not, he hit it hard from both sides of the plate. And speed, we know he's got plenty of that, along with power. He's made some spectacular defensive plays this spring.
In the air to right field, and that drops. So, the Sox continue the rally. Leonard, the base hit. Alvarez coming next.
Little squibber off the end of the bat. It falls. High leg kick. Leonard dumps it into right field. There was an out at second base there, but you don't want to get too aggressive. I mean, this is a point where you catch it on a hop, you get it back in, and hope then your pitcher throws a double play ground ball.
You just take any out right now if you're the Brewers.
As long as it's rapid, yes.
Alvarez, a foul ball. Nothing. The Sox in the spring training finale in the Cactus League. Eddie Alvarez, former 500-meter relay silver medalist in Sochi in 2014.
That's pretty impressive.
Just the amount of training that goes into that. Wide of the bag, but rescued nicely, and the Sox will get one run as the ball gets away. Alvarez with an RBI on the ground ball, and it is 10-0 Sox in inning number 4. I know there are people at home saying, save them for the regular season.
Yeah, there's a lot of carryover, by the way.
Is that true?
Oh, yeah.
One of the new rules?
Absolutely, yeah. When you start hitting the ball in spring training, you generally carry it over during the season. Especially where these guys will be, which is all different places and all different leagues all over the country.
Sox are in Kannapolis and Winston-Salem and Birmingham and Charlotte in the minors. Alex Call, former Ball State Cardinal in lovely Muncie.
Minor leagues last year, not exactly what Alex would have liked. Looked pretty good at times this spring, and he's getting a feel for Major League Baseball.
Grew up in Wisconsin. Ground ball to shortstop. This could be it. It is a 6-4-3 double play, and the inning comes to an end, but the Sox tack on 4 more, 10-zip after 4.
Does this map show the peninsula?
Hi, Joe. So that was entertaining. Sox are up 10-0, and we're going to Charlotte and then off to Kansas City, and it is on the horizon, the regular season.
Can't wait for it. It's wonderful. And, of course, these late spring training games, as we talked about, have all the drama of a quilting bee. And if you've never been there,
I really
realize,
enjoy a quilting bee.
Yeah, it's really good. And this is what late spring training is. For the players, it's still each and every at-bat for players who are not going to make it, still very important for them. They are bearing down. They are grinding through this because they want to leave a good impression. Oh, very much. It was my life. In fact, that's my middle name.
Sewing's my life?
S again.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
But you want to make a good impression.
Well, I would rather reap than sow, but, you know, that's just me.
Oh, boy. Well, new pitcher Spencer Adams for the Sox. Do you write these? Like, do you script them?
No.
People ask me all the time about your middle name. Is that really his middle name? No, it's not. Fly ball to left, one down. Spencer Adams, former second-round pick of the Sox back in 2014. One down here in the fifth. Milwaukee will open against San Diego. Sox will be in Kansas City and then Toronto, a season-opening 6-game road trip before coming home to face the Tigers, and your only chance to see the Rays against the Sox in Chicago this year.
I'm not sure you know this about me. You know a lot of things. I mean, we've been together for a while, but I used to work in the carnival, and I used to routinely guess heights and weights, and to me, looking at Spencer, looks to be 6'3", about 180, maybe 190 pounds. Am I in the neighborhood of that? Because you stole my guidebook. Yeah, that's why I had to go with back in my Carney days and take a look and estimate it. So I'm not sure, but let me spend some time here looking. Well, there it is. Look, 6'3",
190.
190.
I have this jar of candy corn. Could you tell me how many are in there?
I can. None. How about that, Pally? I've shaken your cup many times and haven't found a candy corn among them.
It's a little personal.
Yeah, true. It's late.
It's getting late early here in the Cactus League. 1-2 on Bandy. Kampka's got a winner in Sox math that we'll give you coming up in a moment.
That's good.
We also have, at some point here, we got Sticks and Stone, which we have yet to play this spring training, but it has a brand new format that you're going to love.
Do I have to write an essay for this?
Yeah, it's an essay contest. Open-ended Sticks and Stone. Breaking ball, maybe literally. We'll find out. 1 on, 1 out.
Curveball that slides, doesn't do much, and he's aboard. That's 2 for the price of 1. And unfortunately, the catcher doesn't like that because on the carom, which you can't possibly judge, almost without exception, they will get hit. And also they hate bad bunters. Catchers hate bad bunters because when they foul it off, it's going to hit a good part of them, and it's going to hit them very hard. So they would prefer that everybody lay the bunt down, because if you don't, you look like Alex Avila.
Yeah, umpires don't really like bad bunters either. The umpires also don't like catchers who are a little squirrely behind the plate.
No, they would just as soon you catch the ball and make sure that it just doesn't hit them, because they get hit enough on their own.
In the air to right field, Jamison Fisher is there to make the catch for out number 2.
Hey, Sox fans, ready for baseball to return on the South Side? You
Yes.
can get pumped up for the 2018 season with the White Sox preview show presented by the Koalas family of dealerships. That's Wednesday at 8 on NBC Sports Chicago. So get pumped up, little fellow.
Hopefully that wasn't a shot at me.
No.
If so, I'd like one of those hats, but just cover my eyes so I don't have to see who I'm sitting next to.
I'm talking to all the little fellows who happen to be viewing us today.
Talking to Brian Fellows.
And him too.
Yeah. and 0 for 1. Brewers have not made the wholesale changes the Sox have.
We have the wholesale players in this, our minor league facility, to run them out there until the proverbial cows come home.
You're still waiting for that, aren't you, this spring?
They're coming home.
What a tease. 10-0. Welcome back to Camelback Ranch. Some of the sights and sounds of the ballpark here in Arizona. Jason Benetti, Steve Stone along with you. Frank Thomas is here. Head's a little bigger than I remember. And don't forget, free T-shirt Thursdays are back this season. Be one of the first 10,000 fans in attendance every Thursday home game, including opening day, to get a specially, excluding opening day. That's the opposite. Not opening day, every other free T-shirt Thursday, specially designed shirt. Get your single game tickets now at whitesox.com.
So remember a couple of innings ago when I said that I thought that you should do all the promos?
Sure.
Scratch that. You do all but one. I'll do that one.
Okay, sounds good. Wait. No.
I thought I had you.
Yeah.
I thought you made a deal that I couldn't understand.
The old bait and promo will get you every time. Seby Zavala.
Seby hit a titanic home run. That 3-run homer in the second inning showed you just how much power he has. He can hit them.
"21 homers last year for Seby Zavala, and we saw why in the second inning, as you were talking about. And here she is.
Take a look at how far this one goes. He got every bit of it. Went down, good plate coverage, middle out, stayed right with it, didn't pull the head, but opened the hips enough to take it about 8 miles. 3-run homer, any way you look at it. Very impressive spring for the young man who last year had a wonderful season. So he's done it in season. It's not just here in Arizona. He's shown that he can swing it. And if you can really hit, they will find a spot for you somewhere in the major leagues.
Time and again we see that.
Yep. And J.J. Hoover is on the mound. He takes over.
And he misses with ball number 4. Fourth walk for the Sox. So Booker now, former Iowa Hawkeye, who's 1 for 2 with a run scored in the game. Remember those wholesale changes?
Yes.
I was telling you the Brewers hadn't done yet.
Now they're expensive changes?
Yeah, they did them. A fly ball to center for out number 1. That's Corey Ray, who's checked in. Very well known around the White Sox. And we'll tell you about our Sox Math winner for today. The answer, 12. 4 days until the opener. 8 letters in Missouri. Lab Wali. 327 is your winner. Lab Ali. L.A. Boalai.
Just plain slim to his friends.
One down in the inning. And now Elmore at the top of the card. Corey Ray, former Louisville Cardinal, certainly well known around the White Sox and the ACE program that the Sox have. Out in center for Milwaukee. There was significant hope in Chicago that Corey Ray might somehow end up with the Sox in the draft. Didn't happen. Brewers took him. But a wonderful young man from all accounts.
And just a great program. The ACE program is outstanding, affording youngsters a chance to play top-level baseball in Chicago who might not have had a chance to do that if not for the ACE program. And there's been some graduates who can get it done, and hopefully Corey Ray is one of those guys. Hopefully he goes on to star. It's great for the program if he does. He's high visibility. The program is getting higher visibility. It's just great. It's one of the great things the White Sox have always done, integrating into the community. It's magnificent. They do a great job. They affect a lot of lives that otherwise wouldn't be affected. And for Christine O'Reilly and the crew, the folks who go with all of the charitable programs, it's just wonderful.
It's going to be called an out on the batter. So Elmore is out and 2 down. Ran into Ro Coleman last year during the super regional round of college baseball. Another one of the alums from the ACE program. He was at Vanderbilt last season playing for that strong program. Corey Ray went to Louisville. So it's not only guys going to play college ball somewhere. It's guys going to play college ball at some of the best conferences in America that come through the ACE program. Two down, Jamison Fisher. Breaking ball for a strike. Another hook.
Gotten a couple of good ones over the plate, which is a good trick here in Arizona. We've talked about that a lot during the spring. And Hoover getting it over, showing that out of the bullpen he can get the curve over even down here.
Check swing and no go. If you were wondering, the new players for Milwaukee, get your pen ready, are Weston Wilson, Tucker Newhouse, Nate Orv, Nick Franklin, and Troy Stokes.
Good. Where's Slim Dubivic playing?
Just left of center. Base hit for Fisher, and 2 down, 2 on for Matt Skoll. Many of these players you're seeing right now will be off to Advanced A or Double-A somewhere in the minors this year. Matt Skoll likely to Charlotte to be in Triple-A as reserve for now. But again, Matt had such a very nice spring. He definitely was on the radar. He was the last guy in the clubhouse on the left side of the wall to have a locker on the side that had kind of been cleaned out.
He was just very impressive. I mean, every time we saw him, and we saw him a lot, he at least once or twice just hit the ball in a sweet spot. And when he does, it goes a long way, but it also goes there very quickly. So good exit velocity and a strong young man. Also looking on today, a good friend of mine, Eric Sloan, has tuned in. Young man running for political office. Don't know which it is or what party affiliation he does, but he will do big things, and eventually he will run this state.
You think so?
Yes, I think it's inevitable. And then when he does, you will be banned from the state. And, you know, we'll do the games on remote. You do it on headset, video, and somewhere in an undisclosed location, and I'll be here every day just grinding it out. So, you know, it's going to happen, and we'll see what happens down the road.
Now I know what the phrase "I can't work in this environment" means. It's been so long. I finally placed it where it fits.
His wife happened to tell his very young daughter, 4 years old at the time, to memorize this phrase, and when Daddy says something that maybe you don't like quite as much, tell him this. So he told his little daughter, Ellie Bell, as we call her, something she didn't like, and she looked at him and said, "You'll never work in this town again." She was 4.
The people you hang around are so wonderful. They really are. 10-0 Sox after 5.
How's everything?
Good. Hi, Landon. How are you? Good. These microphones are really good. Congratulations on your off season.
Thank you.
New Hall of Famer Jim Thome.
I was going to say, Landon, I'll put this up a little closer to you. Did you know your father was in the Hall of Fame?
Yeah.
Pretty impressive, isn't it?
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
He hit 12 home runs and winds up in the Hall of Fame. How do you figure that? I mean, how can you understand that?
Well,
Was it more than 12?
yeah.
It was more than 12. Okay, thanks, Landon. That was great.
Steve's so good with kids.
He is.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I never knew that. So, honestly, for your family, since Landon's here, for your family, what does this mean?
Well, being able to have your son come to spring training, I mean, we've done this now for 3 years where he's come out for for a full week, and it's just fabulous. You know, you get to hang around your son. My practicing of the fungo hitting him, how many ground balls have you taken since you've been here?
Probably like 1,000.
But 1,000 at least. So, you know, we've had a blast. I think as much as he's having fun, I think I'm having more of a better time.
Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's so great.
So we saw the video of when you got the phone call that you were going to be in the Hall of Fame, and you got to share that with your family. What was that moment like for people who haven't heard from you?
Well, as we talked before, I think it's a moment that you'll never forget. I mean, to be honest, how do you ever envision a call like that coming in? First of all, you got to be blessed to play a long time, and which I was, and then to get that phone call, it's something that's so special. Really, really, it's something I'll never forget, to be honest. When that 212 area code popped up, it was an emotion that you just never can imagine.
I know you for a long time. I mean, back from the Cleveland days, and we were going to do a restaurant together. You might remember. It didn't quite work out, but you've always been a great family man. I mean, you've always been a guy that revered your family, included your family into everything. So we know what it means to you. What does it mean to your family to have the leader of their family along with your lovely bride make it into the Hall of Fame, because when you make it, they all make it because they were a part of you getting there.
You're exactly right. It's so much more than just the player. It's about your father. It's about your kids. It's about your wife. It's about your mom and dad. It's about your brothers and sisters. Everyone gets to share this incredible, special moment that, yes, you went out, you did the work, but also let's not forget all those instructors, all your managers, all those great organizations that me personally was blessed to be a part of. And to share that moment with the Charlie Manuels, the Johnny Gorels, you know, the Mike Hargroves, the Ozzie Guillens of the world means so much. And it's something, again, it's a dream. This whole month out here, the month when I got the call, it's really been a dream to have people keep constantly congratulating you. And it means so much on they have no idea what it means from my end to constantly have that. I'm so happy and grateful and humbled that they do that.
Landon, what does it mean for your dad to be a Hall of Famer?
It's really cool.
Oh, I think we gave you the wrong microphone. That's just a TV
that's
trick.
That's called technical error. So tell us again what it's like to have your father in the Hall of Fame.
It's really cool, and it's really cool.
It is to us too. I mean, this is a cool guy, so it's very cool that he is in the Hall of Fame.
Well, the Brewers got to run, Jim.
They got to run to left field, yeah.
Yeah. What can you do,
Our
right?
boys are swinging it, though. You know, the last 4 to 5 to 6 games, boy, they've really locked in.
Yeah.
It's great to see. We see the progression of spring training. And I've been here, you know, a month. And I got to tell you, this club, the south side of Chicago, is going to be so excited to see this unit come back home. And I think the thing for me, I was asked the other day, what's the thing that impresses you? Besides the direction that Rick Renneria teaches every day, the way these guys run the bases. They really bear down and run the bases and they're doing the little things that young guys need to do, and then their talents take off and then progress.
We saw it with a guy who's been around a long time and one of the stars of the game. We saw it last year with Abreu.
Yes.
All of a sudden, he was always looking to the next base. He would hit a ball and not think about just stopping at 2.
Right.
He had 6 triples. I mean, he ran the bases well. We saw it not only in base hits, but we saw it when he was on base looking for the other base. I think that also is a trademark of a Ricky Renteria team, is that they're always looking for the next base, never conceding where they were or where they're coming from, but going after something else.
No doubt, and I think that's the way every day his message is to teach, but also when things come up the day before, address it, and then move on and get better. Look, this game, as you know, Steve, you're gonna go through this roller coaster ride. It's how you learn from the mistakes, and personally, our young guys remind me a lot of our young Cleveland years, with all the talent, all the pitching, all the guys that can swing the bat. And I'm glad to be a part of it. It's been a really fun month.
If they grow into that, they will be another ring for this group, right aside that 2005 ring, because if they have the success that you guys had in Cleveland and the guys you developed, you brought to the big leagues, then they dispersed all over, we're going to be a wonderful organization, and I think that's exactly what this place is headed.
Absolutely, no doubt.
It's over. My job.
What do you got for us?
What?
You're on.
You're on now.
You're
I mean,
on now.
Tell us what you have for us. Well, we're going to commercial. Try that.
Commercial. We'll stay one more.
Okay, we'd love to.
Yeah.
It's the one and only
and Jim Thome. Landon, of course, is more well known than Jim, but here it is. It's father and son. And we're back on a beautiful day for baseball. And I was talking to Landon, Jim, between the break about academics and how important it is and how very few people get to play professionally. How important does your family feel with Landon about his academics now that he's in 4th grade?
Well, he's been doing great. He's, you know, his mother, obviously, which, you know, let's face it, our wives, his mom is the rock of the family.
Yeah.
She stays on top of it big time. Me, you know, when I'm there, we, you know, homework is first and then baseball. You know, loves football, loves to play flag football, loves to play basketball. But when he comes home from school, the #1 thing is his schoolwork. And I have to say, Andrea does a fabulous job. Together, we do a great job with both of them, to be honest.
Well, you know, not to denigrate a Hall of Fame career, but why are you wearing a glove?
You know, this is my son's. And actually, you asked me, he goes, is this one
Jim
of my...
Thome model? And you said what?
And I said, no, there's a bat that's a Jim Thome model. But it's a little small. Landon takes a lot of ground balls with that, that's for sure.
Well,
Yeah.
And what position do you like best?
Well, I love second. Second is probably my favorite.
Great.
What else do you play?
Well, I also play like all around, and yeah, and like, so I play like first, second, short, third, and center.
Do you catch it all?
Oh yeah, I do.
Oh, you do
yeah.
catch, and you play left and right.
Yeah.
And that's really nice because now you've played all. Do you pitch?
Not as much.
No.
Oh, wait a second. Give yourself some flexibility now. You only got 8 of 9. I mean, let's talk about the fact that you expand your horizons and the opportunities are there. He can tell you. A lot of people, Jim, don't know that when you came up that you also, like everybody else, you played the field. Tell us the progression of your defense. Where'd you start? Where'd you shift to before you became a designated hitter?
Little League, high school, played shortstop, got drafted, played shortstop for maybe a day.
Good
and
coverage.
Then moved to third base. Obviously, that was something when I was signed. Moved over to third base. Came to the big leagues as a third baseman. Then when Albert Bell left Cleveland, we acquired Matt Williams. Moved to first base, and then obviously became a DH. But, you know, being his coach, one of the most important things we talk about is having kids move around and getting a feel for what they truly like. So it's real fun. He plays well. He works real hard, and it's our youth baseball today. It's such a joy and a pleasure to be around these kids and watch them progress, watch them get bigger, and the love of the game. You talk about truly loving the game. This is what it's about right here. All the kids his age, they play the game, they smile, they have fun. And at the end of the day, they just love to be out there.
And all the kids that are watching this and they're growing up in the game of baseball, or they're growing up in other sports, whatever it is, to kids, if you're going to give them one piece of advice in life, not just baseball, not just basketball, one piece of advice in life, what would it be?
In life, in anything, I would say enjoy what you're doing and embrace what you're doing and enjoy it and smile and have fun. You know, whether you're in the band, whether you play sports, my daughter's in theater right now, to truly enjoy what you do. And look, this is as pure and as good as it gets. And that's to me, that's the most important part, is watching it and living it through them is what's so great about it.
We all know in this game that at least 6 months a year, sometimes more, when we're out playing what we play, and we do what we do, and certainly it's our passion. We had the joy to be able to make money at our passion, but it's the wives that raise the kids when you're not there, because it can be nobody else. And so credit to all the wives of professional players all over the world. They raise the children, they teach them what to do. And knowing the Thome family as I know, your wife has done a magnificent job of raising these kids, and the Thome family has always been something that everybody has aspired to be who represents professional sports. Pattern yourself after this family, top to bottom, and you've done a really good job of it. And congratulations for that. The Hall of Fame is one thing, but congratulations for being one of the symbols of baseball on and off the field. Your family's wonderful. Landon is a wonderful young man. Hopefully he grows up and becomes a play-by-play announcer, because, as you know, Jason Benetti is here, but he's never done better work than he's done this inning. So I believe that Landon could shift seamlessly into his chair, and I don't think there would be a drop-off at all.
Absolutely. Have you had fun today?
Yeah.
What do we always talk about when you go play?
Just to always have fun and work hard.
Yes.
Yeah.
And smile.
Yeah.
Well, he certainly has filled the bill in just about everything, and it's kind of nice. And so one more thing about leaving. Tell us the greatest thrill of your baseball career. Not the Hall of Fame. I'm talking about when you were a player, you're actually on the field. Can you remember your greatest thrill?
Well, I've been very blessed to have a few. In game 163, I mean, that was really, really special, because here you are in spring training, you go through this long journey, and when you get to that moment to try to get to the playoffs and to have us all, it wasn't just the home run. It was John Danks' great game that he pitched.
Maybe the greatest game under the most pressure you'd ever pitched in.
Yes, and many, many things that happened in that game. To me, that symbolized what it was truly all about, to go through this journey and then go on and be blessed to go to the playoffs. That moment, and I get people in Chicago all the time will say, man, that game was incredible. I'll never forget going and running and stretching, getting ready to start that game, and the whole crowd was in black. It was like the moment you'll never forget.
Yeah, that was the Brooks Boyer blackout, that you looked around and all you saw was that. And then the game, which many times does not live up to its billing, was one of the most magnificent games. It was tension from the first pitch to the last. Sox came on top, and something people don't realize, I don't think it'll happen again. 3 different teams in 3 different days had to be defeated for the Sox to go in the playoffs. They did it. I'm not sure we'll ever see it again. You were part of it. You lived it. And to a man, when you started that 3 games against 3 different teams, all coming into Chicago, what did you guys say to yourself? Was it, tell me what you said to yourself.
Well, you live the moment. You live pitch to pitch. You don't try to get ahead of yourself. You know you have to play that day. You have to play that inning. If you're a pitcher, you have to make pitches, not look ahead. And I think having a lot of veterans, I think, helped calm everything down, because we had a lot of guys that have been through the grind. And if you don't look too far ahead and you take this journey, which everyone in baseball is about to do next week, it's about the daily process, not looking at, oh, I want to hit 330 or I want to win 20 games. That all happens later on in September. But the journey to get to all of this and having, he squared that up.
Well, unlike you, that one stayed in the ballpark. Jim and Landon, nice to see you. Landon, keep it going. Jimmy, you're the best.
Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Take care. We'll be back. Jason will be back, I think.
Where's our guy?
Maybe Landon takes the spot. You never know. We'll see you back in a few. Subscribe to the Sox Talk podcast today and take your team everywhere to go. Listen to Chuck Garfien and company break down the biggest topics that surround this baseball team and surround it every day. Visit NBCSportsChicago.com/podcast to subscribe today.
Tell you what, Landon told me as I was coming back in the booth, it's unbelievable, the kid. He said, no, I've got the 7th.
I thought he said, who's the old guy? Was that a direct quote or was something like that?
Yeah, it was pretty much that.
I think he's got a chance.
This is not going to be shocking that Jim Thome is raising a very nice young man.
No.
That's not shocking in any way, shape, or form.
No, you would expect it certainly. And the thing that I loved out of the whole interview, and it was wide-ranging, and you weren't here. Besides that, the thing that I loved of the interview was that Jimmy and his wife have stressed academics and learning. And, you know, the odds are infinitesimal that you'll ever get to a professional baseball team or a professional anything. And so the education stays with you for a lifetime. And the Thome family wants to make sure that their children understand that. And they just, you know, he said it's school first, it's baseball after that. And that really is how every youngster should view the growing up period. It is school first. It is baseball or whatever sport afterwards. And, you know, you're held in good stead throughout your life if that's the family philosophy.
Nice cheap shot about Jim's defense.
Oh, no, not me. I thought he should have won a Gold Glove. In fact, he played with a Gold Glove. It just was a little stiff, but anyway, if I could hit that many home runs, I wouldn't have a glove, and he was a position player. I mean, I remember when he was, because, again, you know, we talked about third. We talked about if you can hit, you can play. They always found a spot for Jim because regardless of whether it was first or third or shortstop when he first started, he could hit so well that they found a spot, and they moved him around, and, you know, guys came up, they took his spot, and then the DH, of course, became a big part of his arsenal. But you have to, when he came up, you had to play a position, and you had to do it fairly well and competently, and Jimmy was able to do that. So also, he was a beloved member of every team that he ever played for and the community that he played in. The involvement with the community for the Thome family was from the beginning something that he cherished. And as a family, they made their mark on whatever city they happened to be in. And he played in some great places, and they all remember what Jim Thome did for the kids in the hospitals, the kids all around, and how he greeted everybody and how he tirelessly signed autographs. It's magnificent.
2 down here in the top of the 7th. By the way, while you all were talking, I was over a couple booths down, and Rick Hahn and his wife and Jeremy Haber and Scott Reifert were in there, and I had this realization that, and they were watching the game, so we were watching you bash me, and I had this realization. We've shown 2 different sound bites of Rick Hahn, so Rick Hahn was sitting in that booth listening to himself at points, and that's a little meta for me.
Well, we had 7 of them, and quite obviously you're not going to do all 7, but I think the ones that were picked out.
Rick.
Well, I mean, that is granted, that's a lot of Rick, but 7 cogent sound bites with a whole lot to say in each and every one. And he talks about Adam Engel and a number of other things that come up, because I don't think people realize there was a time when the general manager job was kind of difficult, but, you know, you could do it and you didn't have to have much training. You were a former player and they made you a GM, or you were friends of somebody, they made you a GM. But now it's a 24-hour-a-day, 12-month-a-year job. It's all encompassing. It's everything you can think of and more. Toughest job in baseball is that general manager.
I'm sure Rick took a couple of seconds yesterday to watch Mo Wagner and the Wolverines advance. 12-1 your score is stretch time.
pitcher. Yes, it's Jeremy Jeffress. And back to waistbands. Yes, I'd like one of those, and I love the Blackhawks. So do you think John McDonough and Jay Blunk have any of those left?
I think they're more literate than you are.
There's no question of that. They've been for quite some time.
Sox are up 12-1 in this game, and while you're talking about the Blackhawks, great news this past week. Eddie Olczyk came on the air, said he was cancer-free.
That is wonderful, because although some people have heard of Eddie Olczyk because he's everywhere, he also does horse racing, one of the guys that you really look to that know inside sports. But when Eddie got sick, everyone joined in, and there was an outpouring toward him because people love Eddie. He's quite frankly the best analyst in all of hockey, but more to the point, he might very well be, and I think he is the best analyst in the city of Chicago, bar none. Eddie knows the game like nobody I've ever seen. And you know, when you have to go do the replays in hockey, you got a very short period of time to get in a cogent explanation of what went on. Eddie can tell you where every player was on the ice, why the pass where it went what it was, why the goalie was screened, why the slap shot was used instead of coming in and going to the net. I mean, everything that is hockey is Ed Olczyk. And the greatest thing that I've heard today, and did not know that, is the fact that he is cancer-free. And hopefully Eddie is doing this for the next 50 years because the fans love him, the fans want him, and Eddie's the best. He's been the best for as long as I can remember, and really nobody's in second place as an analyst behind Eddie Olczyk in the city of Chicago and nationally. He's just brilliant. Eddie, congratulations. We love you and love the fact that now you can go back and do what you do really, really well. So congratulations to Ed Olczyk, and thanks, Jason, for bringing it up because he's a dandy.
I just want to show you something. This is the thing that our headset's attached to, right? And this little white button says talkback on it. This is for cough. If we need to mute our microphones, this says talkback. And the reason that's important in the context of Eddie Olczyk, as we have a possible double play, and there it is. I sat in the booth during a Hawks game earlier this year in December, and the game's going on, and Eddie is sitting there in the booth, and Pat's talking, and Eddie is in talkback, hitting talkback, talking to the truck, and saying, "Hey guys, the goalie just got his stick caught in the net." He's watching this all happen. The play is behind him. He says the guy got his stick caught in the net. So he says to the truck, "Can we get that replay?" Which, you know, you'll do, and analysts will do. And he says, "Okay, roll it back, roll it back, roll it back." He's watching on the monitor, and he's basically saying, "Okay, here's the point where I want this because I want to explain something very specific." To do that simultaneously while watching the remainder of the game, he is as active as a person as I've ever seen in the booth, and that was with him having this debilitating disease that took everything out of him. I mean, people need to know that not only is he very good at the job, but he is so active and he cares so much. And you're the same way. You care so much about putting together a good broadcast. But just for the industry, let alone him being a wonderful guy, for the industry, he is so exceptional. And I've worked with a bunch of people, not as many as you, but I've worked with a bunch of people, and watching him work in the middle of a game that is always moving, it's like he has 6 eyes. I mean, it is so impressive what Eddie Olczyk does.
The best thing about Eddie has always been, he's not going to tell you the obvious, because the obvious you can see, it's television. He's going to tell you in depth why that happened, things that you can't possibly see that Eddie just routinely sees. I mean, you're right, 6 eyes is a good explanation for it, because that game is really fast. I mean, so much faster than our game that sometimes it's a blur. And so to be able to multitask in the booth and do 3 or 4 different things and help the truck to get to the spot where you need him to get to, nobody does it better than Eddie. And along with Pat Foley, I mean, they're just magnificent and have been for quite some time. It's not only entertaining, it's educational. It's not only educational, it's fun. There's nothing you can present to Eddie that he doesn't understand. And then he takes a look and breaks it down. The most important thing is it's a fairly complicated game that looks very simple, but it's not. And Eddie will tell you exactly why this happened and that happened, and why this is going to happen, and why that didn't happen because of just one guy that was completely out of the play, and all of a sudden you see the play break down. Eddie will tell you exactly why it broke down. And that's the beauty of Ed, and has been from the beginning, and that's why, quite frankly, he is the best in the business at it.
Just an exceptional human being, and we get to have him for a lot longer. Congratulations, Edzo. 12-1 your score after 7. seating. Enjoy first-class amenities in our all-inclusive club areas or private suites. For more information, 312-674-1000 or visit whitesox.com. That's how you do it. Do it right now. Go battle each other for tickets.
Oh, look at that. It's a dog pile, as they say. And by the way, a couple of days ago was National Puppy Day, my favorite day of the year.
Is that right?
Yes.
That kid in the white shirt, by the way, is not in the top half of that friendship circle, let's say. It's a ground ball to short for out number 1. Hey, we have a new format for Sticks and Stone. We're going to ask Steve about his career, but you got to know something about your opponents. Robin Yount was 12 for 46 against you. Is he from California, New Jersey, or Washington?
Boy, I don't know. Was Robin Yount really 12 for 46 against me? I mean, he was a Hall of Famer. He's a very good player. I'm surprised I got him out at all.
So now, not only are we going to hold over you that guys got hits against you or you did very well against them, but you now need to know things about them that are very specific.
Okay, I'll just guess California and probably be undoubtedly wrong. Only because I believe that everybody's from California.
Is
so
that right?
I'll throw it up there. You know, Tucker Newhouse is really having a nice spring. Under the radar, certainly, but having a nice spring nonetheless. Love his socks.
In the air, center field. And there's out number 2. I think Steve loves the new Sticks and Stone format.
Do I have any chance in this? Now I've gone to like 33% chance in my guess.
That's where you were before.
But then I have to know something else about guys that, you know, I have no idea about, like where he's from or what his aunt's name is.
Oh, and it's going to get more specific
How about
and weirder.
What his aunt's name is. How about that?
I'm in.
Okay, we can do that. Nate Orff also having a surprising spring, also a little under the weather and getting his opportunity today.
The only player in the Cactus League whose last name is the airport code for Norfolk, Virginia.
And only you would know that specifically, because I'm sure because you're trying to get points with some airline, you probably made 6 trips to get to where you were going, which led you through Norfolk, West Virginia, or
It's in Virginia.
South Euclid or someplace along those lines. But I'm sure if it meant 3 more points on the card, you were there.
I mean, I spent 5 years in AAA. Of course I went to Norfolk.
I'm surprised it wasn't 7. How'd you make it through in 5?
I met you and you propped me up. Yeah, usually I connect through Bali to get to Norfolk.
More miles.
To get the
More
miles.
Yeah, absolutely. It's nice.
Ball and 2 strikes. And Orff on hitting takes a ball. Had too many laughs for one spring or what?
It's been a long spring. Actually, it's actually been a short spring. I mean, it's been wonderful to get a chance to do baseball again and be here with you. And it's been, you know, strange weather down here. I mean, it's either been really hot or really cool or really windy. It's usually not that way. But all in all, I think everybody who had to get work in got it in. I think the guys who are going to be of the 25 that go north with the team are ready, and they're ready to go. Obviously, hitters with about 10 days to go in the spring just said, let's get it over with already. And so, you know, and now pitchers have caught up. Now they're ready to go too. And managers would caught up a long time ago, and coaches says, please, let's play a meaningful game. And eventually here on the 29th against Kansas City, we will.
It's coming tomorrow. Sox will get on the plane tonight, go to Charlotte, face the Knights. You can watch that game on NBC Sports Chicago as Orff sends it flying to center, but just short of the Tidewater area for the final out here in the 8th inning. It's 12-1 in our final Cactus League affair. Tickets as low as $5 in the upper level, $15 in the lower level, and parking for only $10. Plus, special family-focused activities located throughout the ballpark. Family Sundays proudly presented by Coca-Cola. Taste the feeling. Visit whitesox.com/Sundays to purchase your tickets today. Coca-Cola providing family Sundays, and the Stanford kid, Eric Davis.
There you look at the numbers, and they've been pretty good. See, left-handers really haven't hit him quite as well as right-handers, which means that somewhere in there, there's either a splitter or a very good changeup, and the left-handers are just not seeing it and just not handling it, because the reverse splits, as they call them, is unusual unless you do have that great off-speed pitch.
Time to close up shop here at Camelback Ranch.
So how about we get together in Kansas City night before the season for a celebratory dinner at a wonderful restaurant on you? How about that? I mean, can we do that? And then the next, just for the first series, and maybe also Toronto, really good restaurants on you, and then I'll pick it up on an off day when we're not around.
I don't know about you folks at home, but seems like a totally fair deal for one of us. Sox will be in Kansas City Thursday, Saturday, Sunday. Steve will be taking me to the ATM and demanding my PIN, evidently. And then we'll be in Toronto, where that will continue, evidently, in another country. It's pretty exciting.
And remember one thing. Remember the cranberry juice in Toronto. Yeah. The best in the world. I mean, it's wonderful. It's great to see, because we drink like 3 or 4 cans of it because it is so good. And then you see Jason spinning around like a top from the sugar high. It's one of the most amazing things I've ever seen. So if you can come to Toronto, I will let you. I'll take, I can, if I knew how to take a video on this, whatever this thing is here. They call it a smartphone, but not for me.
It's a headset.
But if I knew how to do that, I would do it and watch the folks, just let them watch you just, a whirling dervish as opposed to the regular dervish. Who didn't he sign with the Cubs? I'm not sure. But yes, it was whirling, and so will you be after the cranberry juice.
This is honestly like when Robin Williams and Jonathan Winters were on Mork and Mindy together, but it's just you doing the bit.
But they had an actor strike, and we were playing in Toronto. We were playing in Montreal.
You actually have a story about this?
I do. We were playing in Montreal. And a friend of mine said, we've got to go to Second City tonight. And I said, well, why? And she said, I just don't know, but we have to go to Second City. And I said, well, okay, we'll go. And
that's a way to beat the shift, by the way.
Yes, and her friend had told her that you just have to be at Second City. And so the first act was the usual Second City act, which is always very good. And the second act, Robin Williams comes out. And he does the second act with the Second City crew. And then he moved off. The Second City crew, to a man, moved off, and it was Toronto. They moved off, and he did an hour and 45 minutes of stand-up.
Is that right?
The most brilliant, off the top of his head comedy I'd ever seen. And he said, okay, give me the last line, which is a Second City thing. Give me the last line of a bit. And he does this whole 5-minute bit, and then does the last line the person gave him.
Flete just crushes a ball. Another one of the guys who came over in the deal for Jose Quintana. And that ball was destructive.
The guys seem to be getting a whole lot stronger when I first came in this league. I mean, wide open stance, take a look at it. High leg kick, good hang time, and just crushes a fastball. High and middle out. Got the hands to it, got it on a sweet spot, and took it way back. I'm not liking the Brewers' chances of coming back in this one, folks.
It's looking more and more unlikely as the moments unfold. So Brian Flete with the homers. So he came over with Dylan Cease and Eloy Jimenez. And you were talking about the other guy in trades.
Yeah, I mean,
he happens to, no matter how great of a prospect he was coming over, he happens to be the other guy in that trade because of the standing of the other two.
I mean, it was Basabe when he came over, and of course it was Moncada and Kopech. We know, I mean, we've seen him, and it's great. And it was Basabe, who's a wonderful defensive outfielder, who's got a chance. I mean, that's all you ask for, is give somebody a chance. He's going to get it here.
All right, here's your sticks and stone answer. We asked Steve with the premise that Robin Yount was 12 for 46 against him. Where's he from? And the answer was California. You were right. Congratulations.
Well, the fact that I was given the answer before the game so it would look good in our inaugural Sticks and Stone made it even more difficult, because then you think the person is not exactly telling you the truth, especially when he gives you 3 or 4 and even an answer that's not on there. And then you just don't really know. So
who did that?
No, nobody. It was anyway. It was a California thing, because knowing Robin and knowing what he likes to do, he is the epitome of the California guys. Great career, just a wonderful player. One of the few guys who was just a magnificent shortstop, who then shifted and became a magnificent center fielder. And then he was always 2 behind Paul Molitor. So you got Paul Molitor, a Hall of Famer. You got Robin Yount, a Hall of Famer. And then my personal antagonist was Cecil Cooper, who hit 5 home runs off me in 2 years. And you looked at that lineup with Ben Ogilvy out there, and with Gorman Thomas, and with, you know, all these guys that they became Harvey's wall bangers. And it was very difficult to face that team, and notably because of certainly Robin Yount at 2 spot, Paul Molitor in the 1 spot. And, you know, the rest of the guys were just exceptional. Those 2 guys were Hall of Famers.
What a scary lineup.
Well, add Ted Simmons to that in '82 and Raleigh Fingers to that. And also you got yourself a team that the last day of the season, it was Palmer and Sutton in Baltimore. We had beaten them 3 straight games to make the last game important. And Don Sutton beat Jim Palmer to go to become Harvey's wall bangers with this team. But when they added those 2 guys, when they added Fingers and when they added Teddy Simmons, and Teddy Simmons was a crusher from both sides of the plate. They added them, and they became the team that got awfully close. They got awfully close because they were very good. And you know, it was not a pleasant thing to face that team. They were really tough.
Davis strikes out Alvarez, and 1 down in the Sox 8th inning.
Boy, could I use the last drop in.
Keep that to yourself. White Sox baseball for spring training is always live with MLB at Bat. The app will keep you connected every day with live radio calls, video highlights, stats, breaking news, and more. Download MLB at Bat now, your #1 White Sox app. You were talking about Robin Williams and the comedy set that you saw when Brian Flatte hit a ball to Tempe.
I've never seen anybody that was so quick and could make this little word become whole cloth right in front of your eyes. And he just went around and literally he just told some stories, and then he would make something up, and then they all blended together in this hilariously funny bit. A lot of people don't realize that Robin Williams was a great comedian. That's how he started up. I think they don't realize what a great actor he was in Good Will Hunting and so many other wonderful movies that he was in. Good Morning Vietnam as Adrian Cronauer. I mean, just he was wonderful. And the saddest thing for me, when, you know, having seen him personally and do something that he probably wasn't going to do anymore, is that by himself, hour and a half, it wasn't a scripted comedy bit. I mean, he didn't know that this was going to be it, and they put him out. Everybody left the stage. The thing that struck me was the fact that he could never overcome his personal demons, and one of the most talented people in this world left this world too soon. And unfortunately, as we've talked about many times, a permanent solution to a temporary problem is what eventually did in Robin Williams. We lost a classic. We lost one of the best ever. And for that, I'm eternally sad. And the fact that I got a chance to see him, something that he didn't do very often. I'm not talking about improv because he was magnificent at it, but the length and the breadth of what he did was one of the things that left an indelible impression on me. I'll never forget that evening, and I'll never forget Robin Williams. And so it was one thing that I got a chance, and I was very happy to have been there.
There's a baseball hook to Good Morning Vietnam very early in the movie. One of the elder statesmen says to him, they're kind of in a confrontation. One of his commanding officers, he points to the patch on his arm, and he says, "What does 3 up and 3 down mean to you?" And Adrian Cronauer says, "The end of an inning."
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. And I'm pretty sure that he might have come up with that himself. And
Just
the reason
live,
was,
yeah.
I mean, you had him in a movie or a television show, and everybody had a script. But Robin did whatever he was going to do, and he was so much quicker than everybody else that he fit seamlessly into that, and many of them were just one take, and you never know where he was going. Nobody did. And remember Pam Dauber in Mork from Ork.
Mork and Mindy, yeah.
Mork and Mindy, rather, and she would
That was the first title.
I remember that. Yeah, that was a working title before they went with the one that actually worked. And so she would just stand there. didn't know if Robin Williams was done, didn't know where he was going, and eventually he would kind of look at her and going, you know, it's like subliminally, it's your turn, say something, and something that you have scripted, and then I'll jump on you again for another 45 seconds of things that are completely off the wall. It was a good show, but again, Robin Williams and Pam Dauber just wonderful in the show.
It's just so difficult to fathom how tough it is to do what he did as well as he did, and I think that's part of the reason why we all love watching sports too. I mean, anybody who either grew up or lived through Michael Jordan and what he did in Chicago gets excited for that next possible person. Who might that next star be? And in baseball, it's not as prevalent. However, you never know who that next person is going to be. I think there is a little bit of a parallel between what we're talking about with comics and why we all like watching sports.
Well, truly, on a daily basis, as many games as all of us has seen. I mean, you've seen a lot. I've seen a lot. Hawk has seen more games than maybe combined all of us. But you will see something every day, maybe every 3 or 4 days. In all the plays you've seen, all the situations, you'll see something you've never seen before. How is that possible that this beautiful game has never shown you this particular thing that happened? But it happens all the time, and that's why people come and they watch. They're fascinated by the most beautiful game that there is, and they are, because the utter unpredictability of this game is something to be seen on a daily basis. When you see something you've never seen before, it just says, wow, you know, you start thinking back, well, where did I see that before? When you realize you've never seen it before. Nobody's ever seen it before, and it happened right here today. That's why you come to the ballpark, you wear a Frank Thomas shirt, you enjoy yourself, you wear an Aaron shirt, you enjoy yourself, you take advantage of the concession stands, and you hope maybe I'm going to see something that I never saw, and that happens a lot.
We just had it a couple years ago, the first ever 9-3-2-6-2-5 triple play. Nobody's ever had one of those before. We did.
Yeah, and it was, I mean, it was one of those plays that, in fact, the only Sox math I've ever done had the answer of that triple play.
All the numbers were the numbers of the players who touched the ball.
We're set for a pitching change, and we'll be back after that change. Archer, old number 99 as we know him best in the minor leagues last year, 7-3 with an ERA of 4.54. Bill Brophy has kept us apprised of each and every one of the people who has come into this ball game, and he tells us who it is, which is a good trick when there's 6 99s on the same team.
Everyone in the Brewers clubhouse is a big Nana fan. Bill's scorecard right now looks like John Nash's garage in A Beautiful Mind.
Well, I've got to tell you definitively, and that's true, and it does as I look over, but I tell you definitively that I made it 3 innings today.
Your scorecard looks like quitting.
No,
is what it looks like.
There's plenty of open space. Here's the range.
Let's show everybody. Can we get a look at Steve's scorecard here real fast? It's important. Here's Steve's scorecard. I don't know if you can tell, but there's not a lot on it. Third inning.
We got carried away. Well, we take a month on Mork and Mindy. We did some dinosaurs. I mean, we talked about arachnids. We talked about the brown recluse spider, and all of those things all today. This was a cornucopia of delights.
We had Cash on, Mike Kashersky, and the Tomey family.
How about Yolmer?
Yolmer.
We talked about Eddie Olczyk, and those of you who didn't hear that, he is cancer-free.
That's the best thing we've talked about all day.
That absolutely is, and wonderful. And I mean, it was just one of those days where, in a game that really doesn't matter much, except for the all-important 16th run, you know, we had some wide-ranging discussions about everything that is kind of the world. And
I know you're not keeping score. It's only the 8th inning. This eulogy for our game is a little early.
Wait a second. Who's our post-game host? Guest.
Rick Hahn will join us after this.
Terrific.
You're going to continue to see a team play the way that has made us all proud over the past year, in that the whole Ricky's boys don't quit is sort of the way people have summarized that. But for us, it's really, you know, fighting for 27 outs and not relenting, preparing extremely well, knowing the expectations of how we want the game played, and working their tails off to execute that plan on a nightly basis. That's a fun brand of baseball to watch. Obviously, you prefer to win more games than not as you sit and watch that style of play, and it's more satisfying after a victory. But that approach to how we go about our business and that daily effort, or that effort on a daily basis, is going to serve us well over the next several years. So that's one reason. I think that's an enjoyable brand of baseball to watch.
I think we agree that what we saw late last year with the Sox, and throughout the whole season, but with really no incentive to win games once you're out of the race, you would say, in a human way, the Sox played their tails off.
Well, there's some managers that do that throughout the year, and certainly every game, regardless of the situation. But when Ricky Renteria says, I want 27 outs, I want 27 difficult outs from you guys each and every game, regardless of the situation. We saw it late in the season when, you know, the team was out of it. The young guys certainly trying to make an impression, but we're talking about veterans too, and he just explained to them that 27 outs every day. That's what we strive for, and that's what the guys did, and that's the reason why they were able to close so quickly as we moved into the end of the season.
There's a lot to be excited about this year.
There is indeed, and
not only just, hey, we're 3 days before the year, you start to kind of get those butterflies, that feeling as a fan, like, hey, it's coming. Like, it's actually almost baseball season. My friend is back.
What's kind of interesting for me is that, and it's kind of like the game mirrors how life, in that the spring is a renewal. hey, baseball's back. We've gone through a tough winter in many parts, and certainly in Chicago, and now spring is right around the corner, and baseball is back, and we know spring is right around the corner, and then it's summer, and we'll have baseball. We'll have baseball for the better part of 7 months of the year, sometimes 7.5, depending how things go. And it's a renewal of life. It's a substantiation that, we're back again. We're here. We're enjoying the game that we've enjoyed from little people down to older people. And now we're ready to go. And everybody, the fans, the players, the coaches, everybody else, just ready for opening day in Kansas City. As are you and I know it's going to be an interesting year. And it's going to be nice to see when they expand the rosters just who will be here in September. Yeah. And, that's usually, for a team that's an also-ran, sometimes it's for the fans, it's kind of like one of those things you're diverted, you're looking at some football, you're doing whatever. But we have that package of just a very small amount of money for games in April and May with a couple exclusions, and all of September. You'll get a chance to see the guys that you will be watching for years play on this team.
Not only who you'll be watching for years, but who you will see as possible idols as you either grow up or your kids grow up or whatever it might be. These are the people, I think, that are in this camp that you're going to be spending your summer nights with, either at the ballpark, on TV, whatever it might be. These are the people you might look up to as the years go by.
And that is the man that's going to lead this team to win a World Series. Rick Hahn has talked about the fact that Ricky Renteria was the man for the job when he came here and oversaw the rebuild. He's the man for the job when this team is starting to get a little bit better. He'll be the man for the job when this team starts getting good. And he will be here in that spot as the man for the job when this team goes to the postseason and wins the World Series. Ricky will still be here. Rick Hahn said that he will. Nothing is definite in baseball because you never know. But all things being equal, Kenny Williams and Rick Hahn and everybody in the front office believe that Ricky Renteria is the guy for this time and the guy for the time when this team puts on another ring. That's the guy who's going to lead this pack. That's the man who's going to be here, and that's one of the reasons why 27 outs every day. The foundation is there for winning. Now the players have to take their turn and figure out how to do it, and they will. And this coaching staff under Ricky and everybody sitting in that dugout, to a man, this is one very cohesive, good baseball team. They're going to keep getting better and better, folks, and that's what's exciting.
As with every baseball season, there will be wins and there will be losses and there will be sunshine and there will be rain and there will be some domes and some good food and some kinship and hard times and good times, and we are just about ready to bring them all to you.
It's a pitch we've been waiting for, except if it's a ball.
Then that can go away. Strike three. Spring over.
We will see you in Kansas City, and the next we meet, it will be opening day 2018. Time for baseball. You did a great job this spring. See you down the road.
Let's do it.
Okay.
How about that? Off we go. 16-1 your final score. Thanks to our entire wonderful crew this spring. For our producer and director, Jim Angio, our booth producer, Michelle Godwin, our statistician, Bill Brophy, associate producer,